Chris, we welcome everybody to the 98th Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. You know, much has been made about the history and the legacy of this incredible landmark, and today a Big Ten Pac-12 battle will secure one more page in those books of lore. But now there's simply nothing left to do but play. It's time for Wisconsin and Oregon. Below the sun, upon a grand stage. Beyond their tradition and behind the pomp. Roses, yes, but it's no garden party. It's an old-fashioned fight. Size against speed, muscle against sizzle, potency against velocity. Both accomplished, neither content. Not yet. Monty and LaMichael, Russell and Darren, Brett and Chip, Big Ten and Pac-12. Today in a game named for a flower, don't expect any bouquets. Old school, new class. Wisconsin, Oregon in the Rose Bowl. You are looking live at the granddaddy of them all, sign of a holiday tradition that has brightened the new year for over a century. And on a gorgeous, sunny Southern California afternoon, we welcome you to the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. In a theme of redemption, the Badgers are looking for their first Pasadena win in 12 years after losing to TCU last January. And the Ducks are going after their first Rose Bowl victory in 95 years after losing the BCS title game last season. Happy New Year, everybody. But Kirk Street, I'm Brent Musburger. Thanks for sharing part of this afternoon with us. And Herbie, it's warm, but it's always a great scene here.
Well, there's a reason they call it the granddaddy of them all. There are so many great venues for sports, but I think for what you and I think anyway, this is as good as it gets. There's something about showing up here January 1st, in this case January 2nd, to see the Rose Bowl. It's as good as it gets.
Now the Oregon offense, they can put points on the board.
They sure can. It starts with LaMichael James and the running game of the Ducks, and the goal today for Oregon is to get James and Barner and company in space against this Wisconsin defense. We've seen LaMichael James really grow as a back. He's always had great acceleration. This is earlier against Stanford. His ability to make cuts on a dime. Here's where I think he's really, matured. His patience in the backfield, finding the hole and then accelerating downfield. Also, he's become more physical and more elusive, something that Wisconsin's defense is concerned about. Because of that concern, I really think you'll see Brett Bielema's Badgers load up against that running game, be concerned about defending him in space, and it could open up some big plays from Darren Thomas, looking for the younger wide receivers, Josh Huff and also D'Anthony Thomas.
On the Badgers side of the ball, no one more balanced. Monty Ball and Russell Wilson.
You're exactly right, and balance will be very, very important today. It'll start with Monty Ball. Monty Ball has really come on this year in the Big Ten. Very, very physical as a back. He dropped some weight to get quicker, but he's been able to maintain his power, as we see here against Nebraska earlier in the year. Also has great quickness, ability to pull away from defenders, something he'll need to be able to do against Oregon's athletic defense. I love this. The vision, the hole here to the play side has collapsed against Penn State, so he feels it to the backside, gets out all the way to the perimeter, and turns around the corner and picks up yards. If he can get going, it could set things up for Russell Wilson. The play action is very, very important. You heard the guys downstairs talking about how quick and how athletic Russell Wilson is. Scrambling like this will be big against Oregon. And then like this, Jared Crick comes free. He's not going to scramble, but he's just going to avoid the physical contact, reset his feet, and then throw the ball downfield. So the balance, I think, attack from Wisconsin is important. But I think if Wisconsin wins, it'll be because Russell Wilson throwing the ball against a defense that's very concerned about Monty Ball.
Herbie, conventional wisdom is this heat's going to hurt Wisconsin more than Oregon. Do you agree?
I do. I think it's one thing to prepare for 3 weeks, and everybody's talked about what an advantage Auburn and LSU and Ohio State have had going up against Oregon. I really think it's about playmakers. Dealing with this heat will be a major, major concern in the second half for the Wisconsin defense.
All right, we're going to go down to the field now where the Oregon Marching Band has assembled, and we will have our national anthem directed by Dr. Eric Wiltshire. So for the first time, the Oregon Ducks and the Wisconsin Badgers will meet in a bowl game. And you will notice the space-age helmets on the Ducks as they are ready to pour onto the field here before a capacity crowd. And now, with many of their fans back for the second straight year, here come the Badgers. This has been the Nissan pregame shift. And what a shift in weather conditions as we compare three sites. Pasadena, 82 degrees right now, 20 degrees back in Madison, and 54 up at the Northwest in Eugene. So the captains will now come out. Grand Marshal, of course, J.R. Martinez will flip the coin. We have an ACC refereeing crew here today, and great honor for Brad Allen, who's one of the fine officials in that conference. So the captains shake hands at midfield. Now let's go down to midfield.
All right, gentlemen, congratulations on an outstanding season and welcome to the 98th Rose Bowl presented by Vizio. Today we have some special guests who are here to help celebrate your accomplishments, okay? The president of the Pasadena Tournament of Roses, Mr. Richard Jackson, his wife Sharon, and their 4 grandchildren have presented the coin to you, okay? Gentlemen, W for Wisconsin, O for Oregon. Whichever team lands up will be the winner of the toss, all right? Our Grand Marshal today, a great American hero and patriot, J.R. Martinez. J.R., if you will flip the coin, please.
Good luck to both teams and leave it all on the field. Have no regrets.
Wisconsin has won the toss. Your option.
We'll take the ball.
You're going to receive. Which direction will you kick?
Kick that way.
All right, form a line facing this direction. Wisconsin has won the toss and will receive. Good luck, gentlemen.
So let's go down to the third member of our team. Aaron Andrews is with Chip Kelly. Aaron, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Brent. Thank you so much. Chip, let me ask you here. You told me at pregame you haven't played in temperatures like this since August. How will the heat affect your speed throughout the course of the game?
We hope because of our conditioning and the way we practice that it's not going to bother us, but because we rotate so many guys, hopefully that's going to be to our benefit.
Over the past 2 bowl games, you guys have met with some pretty physical defenses, had a tough time. What has to click early today?
Same thing, and we can't turn the ball over early, and that's what we did in some of those other games. You know, we got to make sure we hold on to the football. Turnovers are going to be key today.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Brent.
And on the other side, Brett Bielema, back for the second straight year, his 6th season as the Badger head coach. One of the great scenes in all of college athletics is the start of a Rose Bowl as we allow our director, producer, and cameraman to take you around this great stadium. Just settle back, everybody. The Badgers will get the ball first. Enjoy.
Let's go, Doug! Here we go! Let's go!
Pasadena. Abradaris from the 9 for the Badgers. Russell Wilson will come to the 22-yard line for the first offensive series. Russell Wilson, as many of you know, is such an interesting story, Herbie. When you look back, of course, he signed a big contract with the Colorado Rockies, and because he had graduated, he could transfer from North Carolina State and play football at Wisconsin.
Graduating in 3 years in Raleigh tells you a lot about his work ethic. It took him 1 month to learn the Wisconsin offense, to be ready for two-a-days, to win the position. He voted unanimously as a captain by his teammates by after just being on campus for 1 month, and has had a great year with only 3 interceptions.
Peter Kahn starts at center. That's a story. Monty Ball hammers to the 31, and that will be a continuing story. Herbie, some of our impact players.
Well, we've talked a lot already about Russell Wilson. Obviously, his ability to throw and run today will be big. How physical can Monty Ball be today with great quickness? Nick Toon has got to be a difference maker on one side when he's matched up against some smaller corners from Oregon. And Jared Abradaris has had a great year, averaging 16 yards a catch.
So Kahn's missed the last 3 games with that ankle injury. Right back to it for a first down. Ball hammers his way to the 39-yard line, and Michael Clay with the tackle for the Ducks.
Interesting, the first couple plays, Wisconsin showing their power, running between the tackles and running downhill against this Oregon defense. Oregon knows they're a bit undersized up front. And Nick Aliotti, their defensive coordinator, is more than willing to take chances by attacking with safeties to get them down in the box.
The big boys go to work again near midfield for still another first down. So that front with Peter Kahn back at center. Let's show you these 300-pounders who have done such a sensational job. Ricky Wagner. And there, of course, moving back is Travis Frederick to left guard. Kevin Zeitler, Josh Oglesby. Look at the size of those big ones.
And you could argue that it is, when Kahns is in there, it's the best and most physical offensive line in the country, along with Stanford, probably the 2 top offensive lines we saw this year in college football.
From their own 49. Sticking with it. And finally, the Ducks are able to come up with a play, allowing only 1 yard with DeWitt Stuckey, number 52, taking on the running back. And fresh troops already on the field for Nick Aliotti. And that is going to be a story, because you know how quickly the Oregon offense moves. Aliotti up here in the box told me before the game he has got to keep rotating his front all game long, or they're going to get worn out. James White, now the running back. First pass of the game, and it's complete on the slant to Toon.
This is one of the ways that Wisconsin's going to try to combat Oregon attacking and committing too many people to the line of scrimmage. The offensive line and the backs actually ran a run play. This is a design power play. So the line went ahead and ran a running play, and he looked off to the left and he saw they had too many guys up close, so he quickly threw it out to Nick Toon.
Congratulations to Michigan State in triple overtime. They defeat Georgia. We welcome those of you who have been watching the Spartans' first series of the game in the Rose Bowl, and the Badgers, Russell Wilson, back-to-back passes, and another first down. He gets to the outside, and Monty Ball, the great tailback, who has excellent hands, makes his first reception.
Well, this is what they call creep. The defensive line does not get down into the line of scrimmage, and this is a good job of recognizing they bring one too many. The linebacker, DeWitt Stuckey, does not get out that time in coverage, gets locked up with Nick Toon, makes it an easy read and throw that time for Russell Wilson.
So the Badgers started this drive on their own 23-yard line. And now they have driven to the Ducks' 38. Play action, and it's beautiful. Russell Wilson goes deep. Abradaris has got a touchdown. A beautiful play action call by Paul Christ, all set up by the hammering of Monty Ball, and they bit on the fake.
Brent, as you said, when they run the football, it sets up this little outside move and up against a true freshman. He went right by him at Wisconsin. That is a textbook drive by Paul Chryst, the offensive coordinator. Run the football, get the safeties up, and then get him in one-on-one coverage and go right by him with the double move for the touchdown.
Philip Welsh tacks on the extra point. Russell Wilson and the Badgers strike first in the granddaddy of them all. The Badgers strike first. Abbrederis, 38-yard touchdown catch as we welcome you back to the 98th Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. 82 degrees here in Pasadena, California. Two great groups of fans. You can see the Duck fans gathered together, and of course the Badgers.
Be interesting to see how Oregon bounces back here after giving up that touchdown drive.
Some Georgia and Michigan State fans are just saying, oh, wow, look at that helmet.
Right.
You believe that? Molly, have you seen that? You can see yourself. The Anthony Thomas over his head. It'll come out on the 20-yard line.
Now that was, again, the kind of drive Wisconsin wants. All started by Monty Ball, little play action. Now you have the corner ISO'd one-on-one. And I'll tell you, Jared Abbrederis runs as sharp a routes as anybody you're going to see. The former walk-on took advantage of the young true freshman out there on an island.
And the freshmen have to carry the load on the corners today because Anthony Gilden has been battling an injury. So Mitchell and Hill and all the other youngsters, Ekpreolamu, who was there, they're going to have to pick it up. And Darren Thomas is forced to keep it on the first play of the game. And Mike Taylor, the leading tackler in the Big Ten Conference, with his first stop here in the Rose Bowl.
Wisconsin's been preparing for 3 weeks to face this tempo. They've had two scout offenses running at him to try to simulate what Oregon's offense might be like. Now they're seeing it for the first time.
Motions to Anthony Thomas. And Darren keeps it again. First two plays of the game. And that's a story, Herbie, because he really has not carried the ball as much this year as he did last year.
Yeah, and Chip Kelly will tell you it's because of the way their games have gone and what defenses have dictated based on the option reads. It looks like in these first couple plays, Wisconsin's saying, let's give him a read to keep the ball in his hands as opposed to giving it to Kenyon Barner or LaMichael James.
An efficient passer. He still hands it off to LaMichael for the first down, trying to get to the edge where he's got that great speed. And Henry, number 7, the fine safety for the Badgers, gets him out of bounds.
A great block here by Mark Asper and Grassu, the center, pulling around, just cuts down Chris Borland, the linebacker. And with LaMichael James, all he needs is a crease. And now here comes Oregon with the tempo.
23 yards, puts it at midfield. First pass of the game for the Ducks, and it is complete to Josh Huff.
Now the impact players, it starts with Darren Thomas. Not just his ability to run, but his ability to throw. Michael James, of course. Anthony Thomas and Josh Huff have quick, big playability in the passing game today, something Wisconsin's concerned about.
Into Badger territory, and coming back with great stop by Nzegwu on that play right there on LaMichael James, his second carry.
Darren Thomas, Brent, you said it. He hasn't really had to run the ball as much this year. Comes in 22-3 as a starter. Really, I think has fought through some injuries earlier in the year. Watching him at practice this week with you, just seems to be in complete command and understands this offense right now very, very well.
With the Anthony motions, Darren looks that way, throws to an open receiver, reaching for the end zone, and it's down on the 1-yard line. Tuane makes the catch, and the line judge right there spotted it just inside the 1-yard line.
Watch the patience by Thomas. He wants to throw it right there, and he pulls back, buys a little bit more time, and then throws it up in the air.
And now LaMichael steps in for the tying touchdown. It did not take the Ducks long. These two teams, folks, combined have put up 90 points a game. We are just underway with 14 and 9:41 to go here in the first quarter.
How about LaMichael James getting his first touchdown in a BCS bowl game? He's played against Ohio State, Auburn last year, and now against Wisconsin.
And, of course, that formation for the extra point, they show it too, and then they'll shift back out of it. Now Donato for the tie. So 2A has been their go-to guy all season long. 40 catches for 441 yards. He sets up the touchdown. And LaMichael James, one of the best running backs in the country, picks up 6. We're seeing some great views of this game, courtesy of the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. And for the second time here today, the Ducks will kick it away. Rob Beard is the kickoff man. Aberderis, James White back deep for the Badgers. Thomas, of course, checking with his offensive coordinator, Mark Helfrich, upstairs. To Aberderis at the first, slips a little bit, regains his balance, and out to about the 21-yard. Let's check this. There's a penalty flag, I think. Was it thrown late, Herbie, or not?
Brent, we talked about the quarterbacks having to make big plays in the pass game. Here, how about the patience we talked about of Darren Thomas waiting initially, then settling back and throwing it downfield to 2A, but just enough time there and makes a big play in the pass game.
Yeah, there was no flag thrown on that far sideline. So Russell Wilson will come back out here. Monty Ball on that scoring drive of the Badgers carried 4 times for 27 yards. Here's his 5th carry. And he got close to the 25, and John Boyette, the safety, makes his first stop.
This is the last drive, and this really started by Russell Wilson trying to be able to throw the ball, but really Monty Ball, they pounded the Oregon defense with the running game, and then it's set up with the play action and getting it downfield, getting the one-on-one coverage. Russell Wilson very comfortable, whether it's in the pocket or outside, with his accuracy.
2nd down and 7.
Wisconsin moved there on the
Quick
left
slant,
side.
and Toon grabs it, but the penalty had been called, as Herbie pointed out. Movement over there.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 48, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That was Jacob Pedersen, the fine tight end. To give you an idea of what these two teams are up against here today, look at the time that they took. Over an extra minute for the Badgers, and the Ducks have got their defense right back on the field. Draw play, Monty Ball breaks to daylight for a first down. Russell Wilson with a brush block. Ball still on his feet. And across the 40-yard line with the day's best run here in the early going.
Boy, this offensive line doing some great things up front with some seal blocks. And again, with these kind of backs, they're going to run through arm tackles. 2 arm tackles he's able to get through. Look at that stiff arm. And it's so impressive to see Monty Ball, who lost 20 pounds and wanted to get faster, but he did not lose his upper body strength and his lower body strength. And if you do not get in front of him but put your shoulders on him, you're not going to bring Monty Ball down. His 2 Oregon defenders learned that on that play.
And after that 42-yard run, Herbie, he comes out and another good running back, James White. Play action to him. Russell Wilson's got time, steps out to the left. Still looking for a receiver, comes back across the field, and incomplete. He had Tune, and he made sure he was out in front of him so they didn't have a chance to intercept that ball, and it went out of bounds.
But Russell Wilson took a big hit after he threw that ball. It wasn't a flag. I don't think it was late, but it was a very, very big hit on him. The middle linebacker, Kiko Alonso, put on him. As soon as he threw the ball, Alonso lowered the boom on him. But Russell Wilson quick to get up.
Alonso was looking to make sure the yellow hadn't been thrown. You can see that glance could be that replay. 2nd down and 10. And here's White, youngster from Florida, and he is upended at the 34-yard line, and this will bring up a 3rd down coming up for the Badgers.
James White came into this season as 1A and 1B. In fact, he had a big year last year as a true freshman coming out of St. Thomas High School in South Florida. As Monty Ball excelled, James White kind of fell into the background but maintained a positive attitude and compliments Monty Ball very well.
And he moves to the sideline as Ball steps back out. Need 6. From the gun. Covered, throws back beautifully to the 5-yard line is Monty Ball, who slipped out of the backfield, was not the primary on the play, and Russell was able to pick him up.
And this is where mobility is something different in the Wisconsin offense. Scott Tolzien was a great quarterback, but he didn't provide this element to this offense. So they can run the football, they can throw, and when things break down, Russell Wilson can buy enough time on a broken play to find Monty Ball to be able to pick up the 1st down and much more.
30 yards on 3rd and 6. A 1st and goal. Ball cuts back, breaks a tackle. Stuckey with the stop for the Ducks.
Stuckey makes the play, but Brandon Hanna, backup defensive end, in on a goal line situation, actually slowed Monty Ball down.
So in the red zone, no team in the country more efficient overall than the Badgers. They have more touchdowns in the red zone, not just the field goals. That was that percentage that you saw there, but touchdown-wise, they are virtually unstoppable. Play action again. Russell Wilson got open field. He'll walk in. The defense over pursued to its left, and it left Russell Wilson with only one defender to be concerned with.
And Nick Aliotti, he spends so much time because you got to be concerned about Monty Ball. You got to be concerned about the fullback in the flat, the tight end and the flag. Oh, by the way, who's got the quarterback if he takes off and runs? It's just, you can't cover it all, and that's what a mobile quarterback who has poise and can throw provides for this offense.
The extra point is tacked on. So another 7-play scoring drive for the Badgers. Could this be the Alamo Bowl all over again? Farmers Insurance, bringing you aerial coverage of the game and coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. And what a glorious day to be soaring up above the Granddaddy here in Pasadena, California. Well, I have a moment, Herbie. Our great friend and colleague Keith Jackson's been a little bit under the weather, wasn't able to come to the Hall of Fame luncheon and the banquet the other day, and we want to send along our very best to Keith. He's going to be fine, just a little bit of a setback, and Keith, we wish you nothing but the best here in 2012, and we missed you at the proceedings, my friend. You were missed at that Hall of Fame luncheon. Of course, Keith is a member of the Hall of Fame here in the Rose Bowl. One of the great voices for many, many years. Another friend of ours will be introduced to the crowd here this afternoon. Dick Enberg was inducted at the luncheon, and just like Keith, another very class gentleman. So the Badgers leading it will kick it off. It'll be fielded on the 4 by Thomas. First time he's touched the ball. Close to the 30-yard line. And the Ducks will be coming out with Darren Thomas.
Oregon again trying to emphasize their speed against this Wisconsin defense. Mike Taylor, #1 in the team in tackles. Chris Borland, #2. And they want to try to challenge those linebackers in space with Michael James and Kenyon Barner. And if they overcommit, they're going to have to rely on Darren Thomas' ability to throw the football to DeAnthony Thomas and Josh Huff.
Screen pass out to the left. DeAnthony to the 35-yard line. And so, Herbie, it becomes which team is going to punt first? You know, I mentioned the Alamo Bowl, that shootout between Baylor and I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. I mean, those are two great offenses, but two really, really bad defenses.
Second down and 4. Darren wants to set another screen, and it's incomplete. Michael James, the intended receiver.
It's about trying to find matchups, and one thing about Chip Kelly is he keeps his foot on the accelerator. It's a big third down here early in the game just because of the way Wisconsin's offense is playing. Chip Kelly and the Ducks not used to feeling pressure here to try to live up with another offense is doing to them early in the game.
And a penalty flag. That's a false start, and that'll cost them. That'll make this third down a lot more difficult, won't it?
5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
So again, we go back to what I mentioned during the season between these two offenses, and there you are, 90 points a game. Third and 9. Darren will take off. Runs into his own man, and he is down short of the first down. Bo Allen, credit for the stop. Bo comes up with a big play, and the Ducks are the first team to punt.
It is big. We said it was a big third down. The false start did not help Oregon's cause. There just isn't anybody open downfield. I think Darren Thomas started to think he might be able to pick it up, but Wisconsin's front 4 does a good job of collapsing on him and not allowing him to make the yards for that first down.
Aberdare is very dangerous. Jackson Rice, the punter for the Ducks. Aberdare from the 26-yard line. Breaks a tackle, and again to the 41-yard line. So the Badgers will have the ball for the third time. The Ducks have yet to stop them. Welcome back with Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews. I'm Brent Musburger. It's 14-7. Badgers with the lead and with the ball. And now we see that Ekpreolamu, the freshman from Chino Hills, California, back on the corner. Terrence Mitchell, a redshirt freshman from Sacramento, is on the other corner. So Ekpreolamu was burned early, replaced last drive. James White on a play action. They're going to throw on first down. Russell sacked for the first time. The 34-yard line. The Ducks were able to get to number 16.
And it's great coverage downfield. You know, these corners, these young corners have had to really grow up in the second half of the season. They played some really prolific passing offenses in the Pac-12. And there are times they've held up and times they've been exposed. Early in this game, they've lost some one-on-one matchups, but Nick Aliotti and Chip Kelly, they're going to continue to have to believe in them because, again, these guys are freshmen, but they've played a lot of football. We'll see how they hold up against Abradaris and Nick Toon in one-on-one coverage.
Now in 2nd and 17, they go back to the gun. Throwing Abradaris, the intended receiver. And he was well covered by Ekpreolamu that time. We talked about the freshman. Aberderis got him earlier, but not this time.
Ekpreolamu has got to be able to run stride for stride against an outstanding route runner in Aberderis. Aberderis has had some games this year where he has been a difference maker for Russell Wilson. He's very sneaky for a sophomore at 6'2", 180 on how he runs his routes. And now Wisconsin's facing, obviously, a big third and long here.
Band members trying to stay cool. 82 degrees. Monty Ball back in. Third and a bunch. And a movement on the left side of the line by Ricky Wagner. Picked up his stance.
Start. Offense, number 58. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
A series to forget for the Badgers. And it all began to go downhill when Alioto, who will bring pressure from every spot on the field, was able to pour in on Russell Wilson for the first time today. Tune number 1 comes to the bottom of your screen. Fires, incomplete. And there is a penalty flag. This time there's a penalty flag, and I believe it's going to go against the defense in the secondary.
Brandon, it looked like Terrence Mitchell that time. Again, Oregon aggressive. Third and a long way to go. They blitz, and Mitchell may have locked on to the receiver that he was going up against in one-on-one coverage.
Pass interference. Defense number 20. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So John Boyette incurs the wrath of the official on that 3rd and 22. Boyette, an outstanding safety for the Ducks, but this a big mistake. The Badgers are bailed out.
To come to the defense of John Boyette, Boyette didn't even touch anybody there. Terrence Mitchell lined up 27 there on Nick Toon, grabs right there. Boyette did not even come close to touching anybody, so Mitchell there definitely is involved in the interference.
So on first down, they come back with White, and White hammers across midfield. Let me tell you right now, the numbers are not the easiest to see.
I'm with you.
I'm gonna offer them a little apology down there because I'm standing up here, and they
between the helmets and the jerseys, forget about it. If
now
they get half of them right,
the camera folks, you folks don't say, what are they? Gone blind? And you can see the camera picks it up much better than we do with the naked eye. You're going to have to trust me. That's all. You're going to have to trust me.
Throw the reflection in there off the helmet.
Second down and 2 after the White run. Badly for the first down. Ducks trying to prevent it and could not.
The tough thing about facing this offense, and we should mention Paul Chryst as an offensive coordinator for Wisconsin is one of the top in the country. There he is. He took the head job at Pitt. He's tried to balance. One of these coordinators is trying to balance out. After this game, he's the head coach at Pitt, and also at the same time showing respect to get Wisconsin and Russell Wilson ready to win this game. Up to this point, he has really done an outstanding job of prepping this offense and getting them ready to attack this defense.
And it is White picking up the heavy load on this series. Or if it's not Ball, it's White. Michael Clay with the stop for Oregon.
And I guess my point about Paul Chryst's system is when you have to face a balanced attack and they can be physical and they can run with those big linemen. And this year, because of Russell Wilson, not only can they play action you like they would do last year with Scott Tolzien, but they can roll out. They can run bootlegs and nakeds. He can create. It just puts there's a lot on the defense to try to deal with. Even though it's not a spread attack, they still are very, very versatile.
Brady Ewing and Monty Ball back in that backfield. And it'll be Ball, slips a tackle, and stopped at the Oregon 40-yard line, and that's going to bring up another third down, and Boyette up to make the stop.
That's their answer. They're going to live and die by pressure. Boyette is a safety, is number 1 in the team in tackles, which means they're willing to commit an 8th guy close to the line of scrimmage. When you do that, you're going to leave those young corners out there where, again, Russell Wilson will look to expose them in one-on-one coverage. But that's who Nick Aliotti is. That's what he's going to do.
Both Ewing and Jacob Pedersen are fine receivers. They're going to stick with the run, and the Ducks were not fooled. They stopped Ball. Monty Ball stopped on 3rd down that time.
This is a textbook tackle here by Michael Clay, the linebacker. Watch him fill this hole and put Monty Ball on his back and push him the other way. Outstanding technique, wraps him up, hits him low, respects his power, and brings him down. Big time play.
Brad Nortman, his 198th punt for the Badgers, all 4 years. Stopped inside the 5-yard line, or right at, let's see where they finally spotted the side judge down there. It looks like right at the 5-yard line. In triple overtime in the state of Michigan. Trying to go 2-0 in their bowl games. There's Kenyon Barner now in the game for the Ducks, getting his first carry, and he's out of bounds on that far side.
Oregon not afraid to be aggressive when they get pinned down. You and I have called enough Ducks games to realize that if they see something that they can try to be aggressive, and they're not going to pull their horns in here and just say, oh, let's be careful. They'll continue to run their offense even though they're pinned back deep.
And exploding into the middle is DeAnthony Thomas. Can't catch him. Touchdown, Oregon. His nickname is Black Mamba, and he has struck for 91 yards. World-class speed out of Crenshaw High School right here in Los Angeles. Maldonado for the tie. So as the first quarter comes to an end, an electrifying run by DeAnthony Thomas. Henry in a foot race. Too much speed. Welcome back to the 98th Rose Bowl game, presented by Vizio. The introduction of our 3 Hall of Famers moments ago, and what a class gentleman, Senator George Fleming, who was a running back, kicker, kick returner, punt returner, defensive safety for the Washington Huskies, 22 years as a state legislator. The great Dick Enberg, of course, he broke in here in Los Angeles, radio and TV voice of the California Angels, and the legendary Ron Dayne, running back of Wisconsin, 2 times the MVP of the Rose Bowl game. So there is your brand new class, George Fleming, Dick Enberg, and Ron Dayne. And we just had a record set here, Herbie. I had forgotten. I did the last record, 88 yards, Tyrone Wheatley for the Wolverines against Washington in '93, broken by that 91-yard burst. So DeAnthony Thomas goes into the record book with the longest run from scrimmage. And it is fielded on the 6 by Abrederis. Abrederis to the 37-yard line.
This is what Wisconsin's defense has got to be concerned. Again, look at the option look. And look at the linebackers, how they flow out. They're following Darren Thomas and Kenyon Barner. And on the backside, you got to be careful when they sneak in a back like DeAnthony Thomas. They hand off the ball. The linebackers get out of position. It makes it easy for Carson York and the linemen to be able to get the blocking angles. And DeAnthony Thomas sets a new Rose Bowl record with 91 yards and could potentially change the momentum of this football game depending on what happens on this series.
We'll be back with the running game on 1st down. Monty Ball and the Ducks and Aliotti a little more aggressive up front.
Brent, I think they're more aggressive, maybe settling into the game, but still taking the chance by attacking that line of scrimmage. The answer from Wisconsin is 1st and 10, play action. rolling Russell Wilson out and still trying to attack that young secondary on early downs.
3 wide here on 2nd and 9. Complete. Short of the first down is Nick Toon. He's to the 44-yard line of the Badgers, and that will bring up one of the things that the Ducks are doing right now is they're keeping the Badgers in 3rd down.
They blitzed that time. Josh Cadu, who was lined up there. Pretty good effort by Nick Toon. Lost control of the ball. Still was able to hold on to that and pick up some big yards there to set up this 3rd and short.
Over here comes that jumbo offensive line look. They add another 300-pounder. And they're going to play action out of it. A beautiful call, and Pedersen, the tight end, crosses the 40 to the 38-yard line.
Well, of course, they're anticipating with the jumbo package, they're going to try to just churn up some yards, but I love the aggressive nature by Paul Chryst. Shows play action. Monty Ball consumes most of the defense, and Pedersen, a great receiving tight end, gets just enough of an edge off Dion Jordan, who slipped at the line of scrimmage trying to stay with him. Made it pretty easy that time for Wilson.
17 yards on 3rd and 1, and now they come back with that running play to the 34-yard line, and that's a better first down run than they've had in the last couple of series. Stuckey making the stop.
Nice balanced attack here by Wilson and the Badgers. I love how calm Russell Wilson is. I just love his demeanor.
Isn't he calm, though?
I mean, he played in minor league baseball, drafted in the 4th round by the Rockies. Just has a certain demeanor about him, a certain awareness about him that I think this team really has fed off of this year.
He was fabulous at the luncheon yesterday. Interviewed a couple of his teammates, and he did such a good job. 2nd down. Wilson drops it off, wide open in underneath. And that's Toon again, and it's hard to believe that he was that wide open, and they've got a first down at the 16-yard line.
Well, Kiki Alonso, I think this time broke coverage. He comes up through there blitzing, and I think he probably should have been able to sit back there. He was hesitant. That's the only reason I question if he should have been able to come through. Left it wide open underneath for Nick Toon with Alonso coming there. And again, Russell Wilson with the vision downfield finds his open man for that easy first down.
Back in the red zone, where the Badgers have been lethal this year. Rolling, still to the right, and he'll hoof it out of bounds, and be careful over there. Did a penalty flag come flying? Yes, it did.
Well, there's the mobility coming to play again.
After the play, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, number 20, defense, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And that's John Boyette, and this time, was he mixed up in it, Herbie?
Yeah, Boyette was up there. He had Tony Jackson also involved. He's clearly out of bounds. Cannot lower your head on especially a quarterback when he's 3 yards out of bounds. Easy call for the officials, but they had the play covered. It was a great job by Oregon's defense on a rollout. They had everything covered, and the mobility again is a difference there by Russell Wilson to keep that play alive.
Ball twists his way to the 4-yard line.
How about this Wisconsin offense? Not only have they had so much success inside the red zone, when they're facing 1st and goal this year, they've not been denied. 44 for 44 when they're facing a 1st and goal situation.
Brian Wozniak, a sophomore tight end from Ohio, has checked in. Ball again. That is his 2nd, and that should give him the record. If I recall, that was his first ties the record. Okay, so it ties the record of Barry Sanders, the 39th total touchdown
What a year.
Take an extra half a second.
Hear the coach saying you took an extra half a second. They like that. They like that patience back there. Let the play develop.
And the extra point is added by Philip Welch. A couple of history-making runs here. First Thomas and now Monty Ball. Note about the weather. The Badgers in their white jerseys are completely in the shade on their sideline. Swing across right now to the darker jerseys, and the Ducks for the time being remain in the California sunshine. 21-14. The Badgers lead it. 10:52 remaining here in the first half. Back from the end zone is that man again, DeAnthony Thomas. Left side. Shakes a tackle. Out near midfield. And there's Monty Ball thanking the big fellas up front. Kenyon Barner is now in at running back after that 46-yard return. Darren Thomas going to go deep. Got a man open on that far side. And just like that, Kenyon Barner scores on a 54-yard pass from Darren Thomas. That's the good news for the Ducks. The bad news is defense, get ready.
Brent, catch your breath and get your oxygen tank. It's going to be a long game here. How about this? Kenyon Barner out of the backfield, sliding him out, and it's just an attacking mindset. Darren Thomas shows the patience to let the play develop. Barner was wide open from the time he left the backfield. He let him get about 20 yards downfield until he just feathered that ball down in there.
Aldonado tacks it on. 42 points so far in the first half. Well, the Grand Marshal of the parade this morning was Iraq War veteran J.R. Martinez. You know, J.R. was badly burned after his Humvee struck a landmine. He underwent 33 operations, but later he was asked by nurses to talk to other victims in the burn unit because he was so positive, and it helped in the recovery of so many of the other patients. And, of course, most recently, he won Dancing with the Stars. So J.R., a big football fan. He's on hand watching the game. Wish both teams good luck prior to the start.
I don't know if anybody's been more thrilled to have a chance to be the Grand Marshal than JR.
Hasn't he enjoyed it?
He's had a great week.
Wasn't that a great speech?
It was.
At the party. So here we go again. Abrederis from the 9. And he's out to the 23-yard line.
Now this is all set up. 1st and 10, play action. Look at the linebackers and the way the safeties, everybody's consumed with Darren Thomas and the running backs. And all they do is they slip Kenyon Barner out of the backfield while these linebackers and safeties are looking in the backfield. Kenyon Barner on 1st and 10, play action. They go downfield for the big play. You can see Wisconsin, Chris Ash not happy on the sidelines, ripping into their defense, trying to get their attention. Twice now they've been consumed with the option look. DeAnthony Thomas snuck one in on a running play, and that time Kenyon Barner on a pass.
Terrence Mitchell and Troy Hill are the corners on this series. And the hand is to Monty Ball. And Ball is out of bounds at about the 27-yard line. Troy Hill makes a stop. Herbie, Oregon, 21 points. Total time of possession, 4 minutes and 14 seconds.
13 plays.
14.
Right. 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes, 13 plays, 236 yards, 21 points. Averaging about 18 yards a play. It's not bad.
2nd and 6. That's Jake Byrne, the tight end. He flexed over to the right side. The hammer just short of the first down. That's a very good tackle by Troy Hill. He's made 2 plays coming in. So Aliotti sent him back onto the field for this series. He's a redshirt freshman from Ventura, California, not too far from here.
they feel very good about these freshmen and in the future. Good technique. We saw Clay earlier. This time it's Troy Hill getting involved. Now you look at Troy Hill as a freshman, Ekproelomu, Terrence Mitchell, all three freshmen. They've gone through some growing pains. They're even going through some growing pains today as freshmen. But the future is bright for the Oregon secondary.
I should point out that Cliff Harris, of course, was kicked off the team. He was by far their best defensive back as the season was beginning, but he hasn't been able to contribute.
And we're marveling at what Oregon has done on offense. And they have such big playability. I mean, it's amazing to think that Paul Chris has this offense right now executing like this. 124 yards rushing, 123 yards passing. Tremendous balance. And you touched on it, Brandon, the very first snap. Peter Kahn's dislocated ankle against Minnesota, able to get the chance to start in this game. And for the first quarter and a half of the Rose Bowl, he's able to be out there and be the anchor and the leader of this offensive line that's doing such a great job.
Second down and 3. Here is Ball again, and he's tripped up that time. And coming across with the stop is Alonzo, and Alonzo's made a couple of big plays in this game. Remember, he got in on Russell Wilson earlier in this game.
Well, they rolled the dice here. It's a play-action pass. They potentially give up a big play, but you could see 8, 9 guys close to the line of scrimmage, and they just pinned their ears back and took a chance, and that time Alonzo gets through there for the loss.
Herbie Aliotti described it to me as a hockey team. He sends 3 defensive players back onto the field. He said, I'm bringing people right over the sideboard. He said, I'm running them in and out all the time. Third down and 5, trying to keep fresh troops on the field. Wilson surrounded, fires complete, and Abbrederis has a first down at the 36. I think they lost him in the shade.
Boy, just a really nice job here by evaluating and looking at the defense. He's matched up one-on-one against Avery Patterson. Patterson again slips in coverage. It makes it pretty simple for Abbrederis when Patterson goes down. But there, I think that Russell Wilson and Jared Abbrederis, even though Nick Toon gets a lot of the attention, they seem to really grow in a relationship this year and chemistry as the year went on.
Long reaching handoff. Ball thrown back down at about the 33-yard line.
One thing that Nick Aliotti also does, because they're a bit undersized, is they slant a lot of their defensive fronts. Watch here, they're going to slant to from the defenses from our left to the right. The offensive line's just trying to get them on skates and push them with the movement that they're creating. And that's why you need a back in the backfield like Monty Ball, who sees that the play might be designed to go to the right, but based on the way they're slanting, he's cutting back against that.
Quick slant to Toon, and Toon picks up the first down for the Badgers. I know some of you are watching coming up a big NFL Sunday. I want some of those games great. Wisconsin Badger fans watching the Packers and Detroit slug it out yesterday, but you're probably looking at some of these fellas and wondering about Sunday football, and a lot of discussion about Russell Wilson, and a lot of scouts have become enamored, but of course he may wind up going back to baseball. He's a fine second baseman in the Rockies organization. Firing end zone now. Abbrederis incomplete. Abbrederis might have thought he was bumped, but I'm not sure the ball was catchable anyway.
And it just happens to be right in front of the Wisconsin fans where Mitchell was in coverage against Abbrederis. Russell Wilson that time wanted to move out to his right, but ended up coming back to his left, and Abbrederis worked all the way from the right side of the field all the way to the left corner and almost was able to get behind coverage, but good coverage that time by Mitchell to stay with him.
Draw play. Monty Ball very close to the first down.
This is where Monty Ball wanted to improve. You know, as losing 20 pounds, it was not, he's had vision, but it's the burst right there, that quickness right there, how sudden he is, and it looks like he's going to maybe get a 3 or 4 yard gain. He avoids contact there, then has a spin move. Next thing you know, he picks up 9 yards, and it's 3rd and 1. That was a great run that time by Ball.
Stays right there for 3rd and 1 with LaMichael James watching. Stopped. He had to slowly pick his way to try to find daylight, and that allowed the Ducks to penetrate, and they were able to get the job done with Kaylee Keepy.
Watch Alonso time this up. Brent, you're right. The guard's trying to pull, and by the time Frederick came around to his left, it created a seam there in the offensive line, and Alonso consumed the guard and the fullback, and it made it easy for the rest of the defense to get in there and prevent the running back there from picking up the first down.
Going for it on 4th down. Play action. Steps away from the pressure. Wilson in trouble. Down, and the Ducks stop him. Alonso makes another play.
Alonso just made the play on 3rd down, and now he comes back in coverage on 4th down and makes a play out in space. He comes off of his man that he's covering, comes up and shows some pretty good acceleration in the open field. Remember, Russell Wilson's been running away from people. Big time play that time by Alonso.
Farmers Insurance bringing you aerial coverage of the game and coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. 21-21, Big Ten, Pac-12, Wisconsin, Oregon, 98 Rose Bowl from Pasadena, California. And that was a story on the last series as the Badgers did not come away with points after they were into the red zone. And again, Darren Thomas to Huff on that first down pass. And so Thomas starting to loosen up a little bit here, Herbie, with the pass.
Aaron Andrews telling us during one of the breaks that Chip Kelly really challenging Oregon, that got to really create some tempo here. Let's try to get Wisconsin. They're reeling a bit. Let's try to go after them while they're on their heels.
Thomas fires high and incomplete.
He had his man open that time. I think the tough part for Wisconsin and what they're dealing with, people talked a lot about teams having extra time to prepare to be able to slow down Oregon's offense. It's one thing to have time, but you really need a defensive line to be an equalizer, and so far that's not happening in this game.
The Badgers are, I should say the Ducks are 1 of 2 with 3rd down. And now they are 2 of 3 on that first down pass to the 35-yard line. DeAnthony Thomas, and he was hit by Cromartie, Marcus Cromartie.
Huge cushion off to the left-hand side here. Look how deep the safety is in this case. He's way back, respecting the speed of Oregon, but it's 3rd down. It made an easy throw that time for Thomas.
Now off a play action. Almost intercepted. Huff was the intended receiver, and he's down, folks. Slow to get up. Bounces back now.
Darren Thomas.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah. All right.
So that's Josh Huff, the sophomore from Houston. Still a little woozy. So we'll take a break with 4:05 remaining here in the first half, and the Badgers and the Ducks deadlocked at 21. Josh Huff is woozy, folks, and we will show you why. Number 1 going down, and watch the defensive back come up on him. Up high, Aaron Henry with a collision that has Huff on the sideline, and the Ducks come back with a running play to the 40-yard line. That was a 2nd down.
And we'll keep an eye on Josh Huff, but a significant part of this offense, along with DeAnthony Thomas and Tuine, gives him 3 great weapons on the perimeter to complement what Darren Thomas and LaMichael James and Kenyon Barner do.
The Ducks spread the field. Hit. Fumble. Picked up on the bounce. Touchdown. Nzegwu. Louis Nzegwu from Platteville, Wisconsin.
Mike Taylor comes free. Confusion up front. Good job of disguising it. The question is his arm coming forward before the ball came out? I'm sure the officials will take another look at this. It's such a big play, but Taylor comes free, and I don't think Darren Thomas felt him at all. He knocks that football loose.
So instant replay has stopped to take another look at it, and the question will be the action of the right arm. I'm not sure that he was coming forward, Herbie. I thought that as we took a look at that play, it looked to me like the arm was still cocked. Now instant replay will take another look at it.
It's all about where the football is.
There's a touchdown call. There was no question. And the ACC officiating crew was all over it.
Well, Brent, as you said, it's all about is the hand coming forward and the arm coming forward at all before the ball comes out. Not only do they make the call right, but they make it quickly.
And the extra point is tacked on. Our first defensive touchdown. 49 points. 3:26 still to go in the first half. Well, the sun beginning to set here in Southern California as you see our view from the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. This crowd, Pasadena, being treated to a wild and woolly Rose Bowl game here in number 98. Just had our first defensive touchdown. Total of 49 points put up by the Badgers and the Ducks. Second half, of course, will be in the shade with the lights on. Jackson, the Anthony Thomas. So Huff remains out of this game after that blistering hit that he took. And here is Thomas coming out for the 5, 10. And Thomas slammed down at the 12-yard line.
Let's take a look at our Taco Bell touchdown spotlight from the previous play for the Badgers defense. See that Borland's walked up at middle linebacker. I think there's some confusion on the left side of the Oregon offensive line. By walking up Borland, I think there's some confusion on this side because eventually Taylor comes free. Watch Weems, the left tackle, go to the outside. He picks up his man, but to the inside you have two Oregon offensive linemen blocking one man. The linebacker comes free. Confusion on the left side creates the turnover.
And the Ducks come back with Michael James battling his way 30-35. And Taylor on the play again. What a linebacker number 53 is. A Wisconsin youngster, only a junior on the season. 137 tackles, 8 of them for a loss. And he also had 2 interceptions.
Taylor and Borland will not give up on a play, and that was a good effort to get downfield. But again, the issue and the challenge for Taylor and Borland against this speed is how will they play out in space, trying to slow down LaMichael James and Kenyon Barner.
Darren Thomas. Paulson, the tight end, makes his first catch of the game. That's David Paulson, the senior from Auburn, Washington.
Everything comes off the play action in the passing game. Freeze the linebackers, make them have to respect the speed of Barner, and then quickly get the ball out to Paulson, a veteran who's got sure hands and picks up big yards.
249, 247. That's an eternity for the Ducks. Down by 7. And right on back with a running play, gaining a yard or so. That was Barner, who had checked back in, of course. He scored a touchdown on a reception. So already, Herbie, we've had the most points in the first half of a Rose Bowl game. 49. Previous record, the Badgers were involved in that. 24-21 over UCLA back in '99. Michael James gets the call. Tries to get that left edge.
But it just puts so much on Taylor and Borland. The eye discipline, the challenging them just to be able to stay disciplined with not just being in the right place, but you have to be able to make a quick decision on, are they running the football? Is it a play action? And if you don't make a quick decision, they're by you. Sometimes you make a quick decision and it's wrong. They're taxing these linebackers.
Fake to Barner. Throw complete to the 16-yard line. 2-and-A.
Here it is again. Linebackers have to come up and respect this running game. They come up and realize, okay, now I got to get back in coverage. It's a good throw that time. Two receivers crossing. He makes a quick throw and a quick decision that time to get it to 2-and-A.
Here comes a jet sweep, and they're going to throw off of it. They're going to throw back with Bennett, the backup quarterback. They worked on this all week to Darren Thomas. And Darren Thomas is across the 10-yard line. Brian Bennett slipped into the game. He's a redshirt freshman from Encino, California.
And watching Bennett all week, you know, there are opportunities for trick plays, and Bennett doesn't get a lot of chances unless Darren Thomas goes down with an injury. He was so excited to throw that, jumping up and down, hoping that Thomas would find the end zone.
Second down and 2. Here's Barner. Kenyon picks up the first down. It'll be first and goal. Taylor in on still another stop.
This clock is down close to a minute. Remember, Wisconsin won the toss and elected to take the football, so Oregon will get the ball to start the second half.
That's Barner coming to the backfield, and there's a penalty flag false start. That'll cost him 5.
That Carson York, the left guard, moved.
So back they go to the 7.
False start. Offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Coming up on the Buick halftime report, Chris Lee and Desmond will break down the first half, and we'll hear from both marching bands. Part of the pageantry here at the Rose Bowl. The bands, of course, marched earlier this morning in the parade. Handoff and nothing doing. LaMichael could not find a big enough hole. Final minute. Second down and goal.
Most offenses are panicking and thinking about their timeouts. Oregon just kind of letting that clock work down.
Darren keeps it himself, and he's a couple yards shy, and now they'll burn one with 3rd and goal coming up.
Timeout.
Remember
Oregon.
the USC game that you and I had towards the end, and
30-second timeout.
yeah, the Oregon offense kind of just taking their time and not necessarily using their timeouts and just kind of easing their way down, and it ended up backfiring them in that case.
I was asked about that, and I said, well, they don't have a lot of experience in close games coming down this stretch. You can get a little upset with the coach about time management, but they haven't gone through this very often.
No, they're used to always being up and just putting the kind of the foot on the accelerator. This is an interesting game because it's taking Oregon out of their comfort zone and making them have to continue to attack, and I think it affects their defense and their offense. Give Wisconsin a lot of credit. They came into this game, everybody talking about how would Wisconsin's defense handle the heat? How would Wisconsin deal with the month layoff and dealing with the speed of Oregon? In the first half, we've seen some big plays, but they're playing very well.
Let me add one thing. Except for 2 completed passes, the Badgers may be waiting for us in New Orleans.
Yeah.
That Hail Mary against Michigan State, and then your alma mater, Ohio State. Those 2 plays are preventing the Badgers from playing for the title. 3rd down and goal. And it'll be Darren Thomas firing to the end zone. Touchdown, 2-and-A. Waited for the headlinesman. He was very patient with the call, making sure that 2-and-A had possession in his judgment.
Matched up with Marcus Cromartie, who's a physical corner to timing, a little inside and back to the outside. See, make sure that he holds on to the football. Great view of it right here. Does the ball ever touch the surface? Well, it's tough to see there, but the official right on top of it.
That was a great reverse angle. And they will take a look at that. You couldn't ask for a better view of a touchdown on a reverse angle right here. That, of course, from behind. Then it is knocked free. Here's your reverse angle. Watching. Look at the head linesman. Watching every step of the way. Arms still not up in the air, signaling touchdown. Then it was knocked out on the roll.
Yeah, by the time the play was over, Cromartie not giving up on it eventually knocks it away from 2-A. The tough thing to overturn this is when it looks like it potentially may have touched the surface, it's when both of their bodies are laying on top of the ball. And they're gonna...
No question. That was a touchdown.
Well, that drive took an eternity, 2 minutes and 56 seconds.
So this is the fourth time, if we make this extra point here, that we will have been tied. And Maldonado makes it a 28-all, and this could be a long afternoon for the Duck with those push-ups after each Oregon score.
That was 10 plays and 87 yards, as I said, 2 minutes 56 seconds. Really nice job of mixing up the play calling, some perimeter running game, play action to challenge those linebackers and their eye discipline, a little razzle-dazzle with a backup quarterback sneaking in and throwing the ball back to Thomas, and then eventually a little play action again and finding 2-A ball thrown low and away where 2-A can get his hands on the ball and secure it for the touchdown.
What a first half. We've had the longest run from scrimmage by DeAnthony Thomas. We've had Monty Ball tie Barry Sanders with that one touchdown that he pounded in. We've had a record number of points scored in the first half of a Rose Bowl. It is just absolutely remarkable what's occurring here this afternoon in Pasadena. And this is just the beginning, folks. It's a good doubleheader today. I want to tell you that second game between Oklahoma State and Stanford, that too is going to be a good football game down in the desert.
It'll be a great game. And just seeing Andrew Luck playing his last game, his offense is healthy, and Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman and so many playmakers from Oklahoma State. That one could be a shootout, and much like this.
You know, I know we have talked about Baylor and Washington, but we may be giving new meaning for Remember the Alamo right here. Thank you, George Hill. Here's the low bouncing kickoff fielded on the 11. Abbrederis now to the 34-yard line. Folks, that's going to be a tough football game between two very talented teams next Monday night. LSU and Alabama.
Wisconsin 3 timeouts, looking to try to get a field goal here before the half.
And they hit Toon to start the series, Herbie. And he's out of bounds. Boyette.
Brett Bielema has a personality and a reputation of when he gets near the end of the half, he wants to always try to get points. And in a game like this, that's not going to change. Now, look at the game clock; it's moving. I think Wisconsin thought that he got out of bounds.
I thought he got out of bounds.
Yeah.
Now they burn a timeout, and
30-second
Bielema's going to ask.
Yeah, he thought Nick Toon was way out of bounds. Why'd the clock keep moving? I mean, am I missing
clearly
something?
out of bounds.
He's out of bounds. And shouldn't there be about
you got to stop the clock right
20,
there? And
23 or
now they're going to come over and explain to Coach Bielema, the referee. And he's coming over. This has been a very well. Now watch the clock on the upper right. Okay, there should be 19 seconds left here, according to what we saw, unless they restarted it for some reason.
The official up here with us saying that because he was knocked backwards and out of bounds, that's why they did not stop the clock.
Nice of the ACC because they're right on top of it, and that's exactly why they didn't stop it. So
Interesting.
it is.
And Brett
interesting.
Bielema, along with you and I, you learned something. To me, it looked like he was out of bounds. Interesting. And it also killed their chances here of getting a field goal at the end of the half.
Draw play. And they'll be content to go in with the tie. The most points ever in the first half of a Rose Bowl game. 56. You'll come on back for the second half. It's going to be real entertaining. Let's go down now with Aaron Andrews and Coach Bielema.
Brent, thanks so much. Brent, I saw you go over to your defense a couple of times and say you need to erase it, move on from these big plays. What do you tell them about stopping these quick strikes by the Ducks?
Well, they're obviously very talented and got the ability to score on a single play. You saw that on 2 different occasions. So the plays that we've given them, just guys aren't, it's not a play that we haven't seen. It's not a play that we haven't practiced. Just guys following their rules. So we'll go into halftime. It's a 0-0 game. And, for us, this is kind of sitting where we would like to be sitting. Got to take advantage of every opportunity.
Russell Wilson, again, stepping up on a big stage, so poised. What's working for him right now?
Well, he's got a good feel of what's going on out on the field. He's got a great understanding of what Oregon's doing. They're doing a lot of things natural at the line of scrimmage. He's picking up on, and, we're capitalizing. I think Monty and James done a nice job. The guys up front, we just got to continue to do what we do.
Okay, thanks. Brent.
Thanks, Aaron. Halftime at the 98th Rose Bowl from Pasadena. We're deadlocked at 28. Stay tuned after the break for the Buick Halftime Show with Chris Fowler. We welcome you back to the second half of the 98th Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. Well, we have watched the highest scoring first half in Rose Bowl history. Deadlocked at 28. And Herbie, let's take a look at our coaching adjustments brought to you by Home Depot.
Well, let's start with Oregon and Wisconsin's defense. Their eyes have been locked in on LaMichael James. And one of the things that Oregon's tried to take advantage of is play action and trying to maybe use LaMichael James as a decoy. Or Kenyon Barner here, they got it to DeAnthony Thomas on a run. Here, a play action. Again, they're locked in on the backfield of Darren Thomas and LaMichael James. This time they get it downfield to Kenyon Barner. And on the other side of the football, one of the things that you see is Darren Thomas' ability to make plays by attacking Russell Wilson's defense and the Badgers' defense.
So Chip Kelly and the Ducks have run 29 plays, and they have 28 points. As we come to the second half, and welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being with us in what figures to be really an exciting second half.
Well, I think you start thinking about what can these defenses do. One thing Wisconsin has got to do, because there's such an advantage for Oregon and their speed, is they've got to take chances. They did that, and however, it backfired on them. But if you're Wisconsin, you keep dictating your own defense based on how well your own offense is doing. The adjustments for Bielema, Coach Bielema, has to be, let's continue to attack, hope we create some turnovers and get the ball back to Russell Wilson. And what do you do if you're Oregon? You're being pounded, they're running the football, they're throwing. They've got a very, very balanced attack right now facing Chip Kelly. Again, I think you have to err on the side of being overly aggressive. When things are going downhill like this, you got to do something to turn things around.
Fielded at the 5-yard line. And DeAnthony stopped at the 22-yard line, and that was Chris Borland, the starting linebacker, who cleaned up on him. And let's go down below to Aaron Andrews.
Brent, I had a chance to talk to Chip Kelly coming out of the half. He did tell me Josh Huff is good to go after having his bell rung in the first half of this game. Also interesting, in talking to assistant coach John Neal, works with the secondary, he said it's gone the way he thought it would go. He said this Badgers team playing exactly like he studied on film. It's really going to come down to which defense can make the last play.
So Aaron, the entire field now is in the shadows as night will begin to descend, and LaMichael James opens up here before Cromartie can get him out of bounds. And he runs it up there near that first down marker. You can see the sellout crowd, the panorama as you look down on the granddaddy of them all. Second down and 1. LaMichael on a slant, slips free of Taylor for a first down. Young man who probably has a future as a third down back in the National Football League, Michael James, and he's going to surprise the big fellas with his strength on third down.
Exactly right. He's got great hands to catch the ball to the backfield, strong lower body, can get through tackles as he did there.
And that's DeAnthony coming around, got the handoff on that jet sweep, looking for that sideline, and he's got it again. One man. Henry can't get there. That's his second touchdown. Already he's got the record with a 91-yarder from scrimmage, and now on the jet sweep, a 64-yarder. Honey Badger will be looking for him. Honey Badger don't care.
Oh, man.
I mean, Black Mamba is something.
Trying to make a Heisman campaign already for 2012, looking into next year.
Oh, my.
Can this kid go? You don't want to give him the corner. This just in, coaching adjustment. Don't give Mamba the edge.
Two rushes, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns for DeAnthony Thomas. The Ducks, folks, have run 32 plays for 35 points. They have 9 minutes and 29 seconds total of possession. And they lead this Rose Bowl 35-28, and now it's Badgers' turn.
Come on out, Russell Wilson.
Aberderis awaits the kickoff. We'll field this one at the 4. Gets an alley. Out of bounds at the 36-yard line. So Aberderis is stopped by Hill, but a 59-yard return.
Well, he's been doing this all year for Wisconsin, and just what Russell Wilson needs. Great field position, a nice job by the entire return unit. And I'll tell you, Aberderis, when he gets to the outside, he will surprise you with his quickness. Troy Hill able to push him out of bounds.
So now the Badgers will see if they can attack for the tying touchdown. Monty Ball is the running back. That power look with the 2 tight ends. And here he comes. Got a hold.
Let's sneak in a highlight of the last touchdown before we get another touchdown. Great run by DeAnthony Thomas. Good job of sealing the edge. But watch LaMichael James, the all-star hotshot tailback. Great effort right there to knock down Marcus Cromartie, to open it up to the outside and give DeAnthony Thomas more room to the sideline to eventually get all the way to the end zone.
Let's see if Paul Christ goes back to the well for the play action on this 2nd and 1, or continues to hammer this time. Little draw play, and ball is cut off. Alioti's defense got to the left side, and nothing doing with Boyette from Napa, California, making the stop.
That's what Oregon's going to have to do, is take some chances and gamble a bit by just attacking that line of scrimmage with Boyette and Eddie Pleasant, the other safety. That time they were able to get penetration. Deion Jordan along in there as well.
Ball, middle, over the top to the 13-yard line.
Good old-fashioned Wisconsin football. 3rd and short, the power game. Pull the big guard, Travis Frederick, around and up and over that time for Monty Ball.
Who does he think he is? Simpson of the Bengals? Whoa. You got to get over that helmet, though, lad.
Yeah. That shiny helmet, you got to stay clear of that, boys.
Hello.
Get a little higher.
1st down and 10.
Hello.
We'll check back over the sideline. We got
timeout.
Brett Bielema,
Wisconsin.
full sprint
Their
all the way
first
down to
charge,
the
timeout of the
15-yard
half.
line to get his timeout
There's
in.
a media timeout on the field.
Got his
So we're gonna
cardio
take
in
a
for the
break.
day. Got his cardio in.
Ouch. Well, there's a National Historic Landmark, the Gamble House in Pasadena, designed back in 1908 for David and Mary Gamble of the Procter & Gamble Company. The Badgers, after the timeout, with a 1st and 10 just inside the Ducks' 15-yard line. Ball picks his way behind the right side of that huge offensive line. Zeitler and Oglesby. Michael Clay with the stop for the Ducks.
Talked a lot about the success that Wisconsin has down in the red zone, and I think it's a couple things. Their ability to be physical and run the football, but having a veteran quarterback that makes good decisions with the play-action pass. His mobility is kind of that X factor down in this area. If things are covered, he can create. So they can do a lot of different things down in this area for a defense to have to deal with.
Russell Wilson did score a touchdown running in the first half. But after that, the Ducks a little bit tougher on his running game. And Bell slips. Ball slips at the 12-yard line, and that's going to bring up the 3rd down. And we'll see if Paul Chryst, the offensive coordinator, who's headed to Pittsburgh as their head coach after this game, just dials up a little shotgun pass here.
Well, you got to think that Oregon's going to come with pressure here on 3rd down. You don't want to give Russell Wilson time to sit back there, whether he's rolling out or sitting in the pocket. See if Nick Aliotti gets creative with his pressure package here.
And there is Russell back in the gun. Has to throw it away. Nick Toon was double covered. Boyette, the safety, had rotated over to help the corner. And here comes the field goal unit for the Badgers.
And they brought both their outside linebackers that time. Lacombo actually got to Russell Wilson to make him have to get rid of that football before he had a chance to let the play develop.
So Philip Welsh, who is 4 of 5 this year, he has had 1 blocked in the course of the season. His holder is the punter, Brad Nortman. And he tacks on 3. (35-31), Oregon leads. Now the San Gabriel's sun setting in Southern California. And that's the story, the fact that the Badgers were held to a field goal. And the return men for the Ducks have moved up to about the 14-yard line now. DeAnthony Thomas, along with Brian Jackson. Remember, Josh Huff took a big blow in the first half. Otherwise, he'd have been back here with DeAnthony. Drilling one to DeAnthony. 1 yard. He's on that line. No, they said he downed it in the end zone in time. I thought he was very close to coming out.
Yeah, wherever that ball is, it's not the foot, it's the football.
Right. Oh, that's close. The linesman was right there.
Ball has to be all the way across the line. So you see
And it
his
was
foot.
not all the way.
Yeah, the fans are reacting because of his foot, but again, it's the football coming all the way across the line, which it did not do. Right call on the field.
First down, the Ducks run game from the 20 is stuffed. Fans are still upset by that call. Borland makes the stop.
Looked like Brett Bielema maybe tried to get the official's attention, and I don't know if he called a timeout to try to have this reviewed or not, but the official from his sideline came running in.
Timeout. Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think he wants to have
Second
this.
charge timeout.
That's not a good time to burn a second timeout.
Not in this kind of game.
We've already had a snap.
Yeah.
The rule book's a rule book.
Right.
That's pretty clear. It was ruled down in the end zone because the entire ball did not come out.
It's not the foot. It's the entire football coming across.
And that entire football clearly is not out.
Right.
So there's the call
He's
finally
right
made. Now, the line judge was watching. He was right on top of it. And now the Badgers have burned 2 of their 3 timeouts. Not a good idea here. Remember, we've already had a snap and a play after that. So the replay booth is even sending down word that that's not a play they've reviewed.
So can he get his timeout back if this is not a play that can be reviewed? If his intent to call the timeout was to have it reviewed, you would think he would get the timeout back. So we need to find out if he gets that timeout back.
So it's a 1st down and 10. But it should be 2nd down as the run was stopped earlier. And Borland makes a stop, unless the whistle blew when Bielema was out on the field. And I think that's what happened down there, is that when Bielema was raising a ruckus, they did get it stopped before that first snap.
Yeah.
And then he was informed that the replay booth can't turn that over. But the timeout will not be given back to Bielema. So he's down to 1 timeout now. And it is 2nd down and 7. And Michael James forced out of bounds at the 25-yard line southward.
I hate to keep beating this point up, but I really wonder if the reaction from the crowd here in the stadium by looking at the replay booth maybe forced his hand a bit to try to get the timeout and try to get the potential review. Maybe the crowd had an impact there on Brett Bielema trying to get that timeout.
I'm assuming that they saw the replay, right?
Absolutely.
They saw it on the big screen. And now trying to set a screen, and there was no screen for the receiver. He was naked to the world, and Bo Allen makes a stop. And the Ducks are forced to punt.
Alert Sports Center. We got to stop here and a punter. We got a punter on the field. Good job. They sat back in zone this time, and Shelton Johnson was involved, just sitting right there, read the play perfectly, and they were able to corral that time James and that speed of Oregon.
So here's Rice, and a beautiful high punt. Aberdare still thinks he's got time. From the 27, slips a tackle, cuts to the left, and brought down at the 37-yard line. So good coverage. Aberdare is dangerous on the return. Badgers have got the ball back. They trail it by 4. Farmers Insurance bringing you aerial coverage of the game and coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. So the Badgers get it back. And Herbie, I want to raise the point that when Bielema stopped things and everything kind of shut down, the Ducks were slowed down as they were coming up to the line of scrimmage, and you know how quickly they like to do things.
Yeah.
Burns a timeout and a little discussion down on the field, but they came back and they couldn't get a 1st down, and now Bielema's team has got the ball back, and we'll see what they can do with it. Here's ball. Let me check that. That's James White who had replaced him.
I think a lot of the confusion for fans here in the stadium and maybe fans at home is his foot touches the line. But the ball does not cross the line. The entire football has to be across. You can see clearly half the football is, but it's not all the way across. So it's the right call on the field.
We've got an injured Oregon player and down on the field. Hamuli from Utah was shaken up. So he's receiving attention. He'll come off to the sideline. So, Herbie, the Badgers had to settle for a field goal last time they had the ball. Now The Ducks couldn't even get a first down. They punted back, and we'll see what transpires the game. A couple of things are factors. You know, everybody wanted to say, oh, these big 300-pound linemen of Wisconsin, they're going to wear down in the heat and everything. Well, there's not a lot of heat right now in the second half of this game. And also, the commercial breaks that we have in this game, along with other things.
Yeah.
It gives them kind of a chance to catch their breath. And, you know, I know some people that I've heard on TV say that these fellows of the Badgers are all overweight. You know, I've been to practice watching them, and they're in pretty good shape, this bunch.
They are in great shape, and also they're rotating a lot of bodies to try to stay fresh and try to be able to hold up. Samuli right here, right in the middle of that play, and always dangerous when you see linemen roll on top of the back of a leg. Let's hope that he's okay and able to return. But I think the big thing here for Oregon's defense as they continue to try to contain Russell Wilson is when Wisconsin has been able to run up into the teeth of the Oregon defense. That's where they've had a lot of success with that power running game, and that's where they've been able to set up their play action pass off of that.
2nd down and 6. They stick with White. 1st down at midfield.
And that's exactly it right there. They're just coming right off of the football, and it's power against power, and who can create a crease, and it's Wisconsin's offensive line getting the push. Nice combination block. Josh Oglesby, the right tackle, who's battled through 6 knee surgeries. Last year, he was sitting on the sidelines watching this Rose Bowl game, and very painful thing for him. Tonight, he's actually out there playing.
Monty Ball watching from the sidelines. Has 146 yards. White 29. Didn't like what he saw with Toon, so Russell Wilson is going to keep it himself and step out of bounds after a couple of yards. Looked like he wanted to go to Toon, and he didn't like what he saw.
Well, it was a running play, and he wanted to come off of it, abort it, and just throw the football out there to the outside. A little bit of a mix-up. This is something new this week for this game that Russell Wilson has, is the check with me at the line of scrimmage. Here, a little stiff arm for the middle linebacker, Stuckey, but that time not quite on the same page with his wide receivers, and he didn't have anything to do with it, but at least he got a couple yards out of the play.
2nd down and 8. Breaking a tackle is White. Lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage that time. Alonzo.
That was a big hit there at the line of scrimmage. And James White saying, I know Monty Ball is the physical guy, but I can keep my legs moving and bounce off of defenders as well. This time he'll check out of the game. And another big 3rd down for Wisconsin.
Yeah, Lacombo blew the play up. Now Ball is back. Got the snap. Pressure. On the move. Gonna keep it. Can he get the 1st down? Yes. To the 30-yard line. A powerful run with Eddie Pleasant bringing him down.
There's the X factor in this game for Wisconsin's offense. 3rd down and long. You have things covered downfield, and here comes Russell Wilson. Gets to the outside, gets wide of Taylor Hart, and then is able to, you see his vision, he's downfield. He wants to be able to throw the ball, but once he gets outside of Hart, he has the 1st down, and a good effort by Pedersen downfield blocking.
Now White checks back in. That was 17 yards on 3rd and 8. And White is stopped at the line by Hart.
Coach is telling us that from the time they played against LSU in Dallas, where they lost a lot of veterans from last year's defense, the player that maybe has improved the most is Taylor Hart. Sophomore, 6'6", 283 pounds, long arms, very strong, but the year of experience helped him really to come into his own and take over for Brandon Bear on the inside there. He's had an outstanding year as a first-year starter.
Here comes a blitz by the linebackers. Complete. And that's Ewing's first catch of the game. And well short of a 1st down.
For years, Wisconsin has had not just one tight end, but a couple of tight ends that can be a threat as a receiver. This year, they just have Jacob Pedersen. How about that quick throw? He hesitated and got it out there, but they don't have the tight end. So Ewing and Monty Ball and James White have had to pick up the slack. That time, this undersized fullback, who's known as a blocker, makes a pretty good catch out there on the right flat.
Here's Wilson firing for the first down into the red zone, and that's Monty Ball slipping out. And Derby, you said he was a good receiver, and he does a good job.
Yeah, he had 20 receptions coming into the year. He's known as a power runner, but he's out there isolated against Michael Clay. A good move back to the inside, and the ball is thrown down low, where it gives Monty Ball a chance to secure the football and keep it away from Michael Clay. That's a big-time play there for the Badgers to keep this drive alive and get into the red zone.
Badgers are at the Ducks' 18-yard line. Going to throw on first down, corner of the end zone. Tune, the official goes down, touchdown. An 18-yard strike from Russell Wilson to Nick Tune. Second touchdown pass of the game for Wilson.
Brent, did you see the football halfway in the air by the time Nick Tune turned around to make a play on it? By the time he adjusted the route to the outside, the ball was already delivered by the quarterback, Russell Wilson. Great timing and rhythm that time between Wilson and Nick Tune for the touchdown.
So one thing came out of that confusion and that timeout. It took the Ducks out of the rhythm. The Badgers got the ball back. They come down and strike and now lead it 38-35.
Russell Wilson on 1st and 10 keeps the safeties over. He kind of has his eyes off to the left, but still has a chance to be able to deliver that football in the air over top of the linebackers, and before the corner could actually make a play on it, the ball is thrown away from him. Nick Tune secures that for a big touchdown for Wisconsin.
Career year with the Badgers after transferring from North Carolina State. And what a difference he has made as the quarterback this year at Wisconsin. He's been absolutely lethal in the red zone all season long. There are the numbers for the day. He has also rushed for a touchdown back in the first half.
See him raise his arms after that touchdown, almost as if saying this journey is not yet quite complete.
And there's a fellow who'll have something to say about it.
That's right. See if they can restart the engine to that offense.
Just a wonderful, wonderful scene here in Pasadena. The 98th Rose Bowl. This one presented by Vizio. Badger faithful here, enjoying this 80-degree weather. And now Bucky joins in.
Gotta get a little deeper on those pushes.
The Duck has had a lot more practice through the years. A for effort. Look at him, Duck. Here we go. There's DeAnthony Thomas, and this time he does not hesitate. He comes out. And he is down at the 24-yard line. LaMichael James, play action. Darren Thomas down the middle of the field. What a great grab. 2-A with a big-time grab at the 40-yard line, and the Ducks are back in business.
And here's the view from our DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Brent, you hit it. Play action as they've done all night. He patiently waits for 2-A to get down further. That is a great catch by 2-A, and he waited until the last split second to get his hands up so Cromartie couldn't realize the football was coming in to be able to knock it away.
Then they come back with the running play, and LaMichael slips free. Got a first down, spins to the 25-yard line. Southward with the stop for the Badgers.
He has the acceleration, the lateral quickness, but he also can pull defenders with him. He's not a little back that you're just going to be able to push down with an arm tackle. You better be able to wrap him up if you want to slow down LaMichael James.
Darren Thomas rolling hard to the right, and he is cut down. That was Chris Borland, one of the outstanding linebackers on this Badger team. Borland and Mike Taylor are as good a pair as existed in the Big Ten this year.
Watch Patrick Buttram that time take that play away. He wanted to use a shovel pass and knock it, just throw it underneath, but the recognition by the Wisconsin defense, they took Michael James away from him. He didn't have anything to do other than just try to pick up some yards.
2nd and 12. They bring DeAnthony around looking for the edge. There's a penalty flag. Taylor gets him out of bounds, and there is a penalty flag on the play.
I think this is a play they scored a touchdown on, and this time Ryan Clanton trying to get to the outside to seal the edge, locked up with Brandon Kelly. So it's going to be, yeah, they're going to get him. This is the play they scored a touchdown on. This time Wisconsin's defense said you're not getting outside.
Holding. Offense number 60. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Just locks on there to Kelly and takes him down. Put him on defense. It's a pretty good tackle.
It was. So Kenyon Barner comes in on this 2nd and 22 for Oregon. I want to throw that slip screen, 2-A. And the Badgers force him out of bounds on that far side. Aaron Henry, that tough safety there with Shelton Johnson. Now comes a big 3rd down. The Ducks at least want to get back into field goal range here for Maldonado. Maldonado does not have great length. At least he hasn't demonstrated it yet. So here's 3rd down and 18. From the middle, deflected, intercepted. Henry's got it at the 20. A penalty flag down at the 25-yard line. So coming up with it is co-captain Aaron Henry from Florida. He's a 5th-year senior and one of the best safeties in the Big Ten, and unfortunately one of the Ducks is down. And that appears to be Carson York. And there's some problems setting in with this offensive line.
Well, Darren Thomas has been high on a number of throws. When he's missed high. The problem is over the middle, when you miss high, balls are deflected and safeties are waiting. This is high and behind DeAnthony Thomas, and Henry is just sitting there in zone. Easy interception, and he gets some yards on the return.
And there's an illegal block right there in the back, so this will cost the Badgers some yardage. However, they will have the football. It's going to be spotted at the 16-yard line.
You saw York make the tackle, and there was such impact there on the tackle that he's down, and it looked like he was holding his leg. He made a big hit on the play, but he is down and still down after the tackle. But, Darren Thomas has played a great game tonight. I mean, they're putting big points up. But when he's missed high. When you miss high over the middle, that's going to be a big problem. And that's where York went down, as he brought Henry down after the interception.
So, Herbie, as the young man's being tended to, and let's hope he's okay and able to return. We've got 2 sets of special uniforms here for the game. This designed by Adidas, the rose petal uniform they're calling it for the Badgers, and of course over on the Oregon side we have the uniform designed by Nike, the Riddell helmet, and I wonder what the folks think. Which uniform do they like the best, huh? Maybe ESPN.com.
You put that up online.
We'll be right back. We welcome you back to the 98th Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. It's Wisconsin representing the Big Ten and Oregon, the Pac-12. And in the first half, the highest scoring first half in Rose Bowl game history. Right now, the Badgers with a 3-point lead and 2:40 to go in the 3rd quarter. And with Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger as you look down at one of the great scenes in all of sport. Pasadena
on New Year's Day, or as the case might be this year, on January 2nd. Unfortunately, the offensive lineman Carson York is still down as they're tending to that knee. So this is going to leave a big gaping hole over there on the left side of that offensive line. As you take a look at the comparison, and of course Darren Thomas with that one interception here has given the ball back.
Wisconsin has thrived on turnover margin all year. In fact, they came into this game 4th in the country in turnover margin with their plus 16. They've created the 2 turnovers. They don't have any turnovers at all. And Russell Wilson on the year, only 3 interceptions. It's a big reason why the Badgers have had such a consistent year offensively.
Well, Herbie, this has been just a great season for both of these teams. When we think about both of them, though, how badly they want to win this particular bowl game, simply because the Oregon Ducks beaten for the national championship and lost the Rose Bowl the previous year. Last year, the Badgers lose the Rose Bowl. So both these teams came in here looking for a W.
Yeah, both of them want to have success. It's one thing to have a great regular season, but you want to finish it off by not just getting to a BCS bowl game, but winning it. But Chip Kelly's been a head coach for 3 years in Eugene. Gets to a Rose Bowl, loses to Ohio State. Plays Auburn close, loses the national title. Now here he is again. 3rd straight year they've won a Pac-10/Pac-12 championship. He's back in a great game again in a BCS bowl game. And for Brett Bielema in Wisconsin, boy, I think the greatest thing that happened for them was Russell Wilson deciding to come in after graduating in 3 years in Raleigh at North Carolina State and deciding to play for that man right there. And they've been able to really capitalize on his ability in so many different ways in his leadership. You're right. There's a lot at stake for both these teams.
Well, Russell Wilson on the last drive led the Badgers right down the field. And you can see under pressure was able to step away from it, as Herbie has pointed out all day. That's the extra dimension, that running ability. And he didn't fumble the ball either. And now watch the vision. A little bit of an undersized quarterback. He's up there in the category, though, with Drew Brees, and he finds his throwing alleys.
And when you're undersized, you have to find ways to cheat and take advantage of things. And that is timing. It's rhythm. It's anticipation. And, again, Carson York still down with the stretcher now, looking to take him off the field. But he brings all of that. And I know he's undersized, but he is a gamer. A guy who was good enough to be drafted in the 4th round by the Colorado Rockies. Play, like I said all night, he plays with a certain swagger and certain demeanor about him that's pretty special.
So a nice round of applause for York as he is carted off the field, and his workday appears to be over, and let's hope that he's going to be okay. He's a fine young man. You know, there's another young man on that offensive line, Mark Asper out of Idaho Falls, Idaho, number 79. And as York waves to the crowd, but Asper, the other night, you probably read the story about the Heimlich maneuver at the Beef Bowl at Lowry's. Father of a student at Oregon was choking a bit when he got over on him. And Heimlich had been a Eagle Scout at Idaho Falls, so he knew exactly what to do. And he wants to get the ball back now from these Badgers, and here we go. A collision that ball comes off of. A powerful run by Monty Ball.
You better wrap up. I like the effort by Alonzo, but this is Monty Ball, and you better bring your shoulders and wrap your arms if you want to be able to slow him down and tackle him. He not only takes on the hit, but he's able to survive it and then go down the sidelines and pick up more yards for a first down.
So the Badgers are up 3. We've come down to 2:20 left here in quarter number 3. Night beginning to descend in Southern California. Tripped up that time and can't quite get to the 30-yard line. Michael Clay with the snap.
For young running backs, whether you're in high school or a freshman and you get discouraged, you should study Monty Ball. Monty Ball last year got beat out by a true freshman to be the backup to John Clay. Instead of complaining or quitting, he just kept working. Ended up having a great second half last year, replacing Clay along with White as a combination. And this year he loses 20 pounds and becomes the featured back. Has a big heart and runs with tremendous effort every single time he touches that football.
159 yards he's gained on the ground here today. He's also caught 3 passes for 44 more. Here he comes again. And he is stopped by Alonso. Kiko Alonso, for the season, a little bit in the doghouse with Coach Kelly and the Ducks, but it is clear that he possesses great linebacking skill. He's made some plays here today. The line of scrimmage is going to be at about the 33, 34-yard line for Chip Kelly. You have to admire Chip for running his best defensive back off the team when he didn't like his behavior several times over. Cliff Harris long gone. He's a big-time player. 3rd down and 3. Russell Wilson fires and intercepted. A diving interception by that man Alonso, who we have talked about. Kiko Alonso from Los Gatos, California.
Brent, I was looking at Alonso and the cushion he was giving Pedersen on 3rd down there and thinking, boy, he's giving him a pretty big cushion here. And I wonder if Russell Wilson's going to go to him. Look at that cushion. But this is almost, again, like backyard football where you bait the guy to throw the ball, but you know exactly what you're doing because you're anticipating that he might make that throw, and he jumped that throw before Russell Wilson got rid of it.
And now the Ducks jump right to it. Here's LaMichael James on the carry. The Ducks not wanting to let instant replay get a second look on that. But it looked to me like he knew what he was doing as a receiver, folks. The way he held his hands out to catch the ball, brought it in, and then rolled over in that beautiful slow motion look. I think it was clearly an interception.
What an athlete.
And here's Thomas now. And LaMichael breaks free. Now LaMichael James starting to pound away.
And he's feeling it. How about the vision here? Play's designed to go left. He puts his foot in the ground, cuts it back to the right. Borland does not have the lateral quickness to stay up with LaMichael James.
They'll pick it up now as they approach the end zone. This from the 22. LaMichael, nothing doing. Made the most of. Ball came free. But I believe the Ducks, I believe that was Paulson who picked it up. I don't know if his knee was on the ground.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter.
Brett, it sounded like we may have had a whistle there. I mean, Oregon ends up recovering anyway, but
that was a fumble, but it was recovered by Paulson. Now remember, a whistle can be overruled in a situation like that. So a break for the Ducks. We've come to the end of the 3rd quarter. A Camp Randall Stadium tradition comes to Pasadena, the House of Pain's jump around. Turn it loose, Badgers. Then it was the Ducks' turn to throw their hands in the air. The Isley Brothers classic shout. The players down on the field, folks, had all stopped to look at the fans in the stands. Kenyon Barner in as the running back for the Ducks. Incomplete through a little bit high. Huff back on the field. That's nice to see. He was shaken up in the first half.
Muldoon that time getting a hand on that football where Oregon had a chance to pick up a 1st down. Nice play that time to knock that football away.
They want to jump around now. The Badgers do. This is 3rd and 9. Coming into the Badger fans part of the field. Throws in underneath. The Anthony breaks free. Steps out. 1st down.
They had a chance. It would have been a tough play to make for Desmond Southward, but he was there with a chance. Again, can Wisconsin make plays in space? That was a question and kind of a theme to this game. Southward was there. It's a tough ask. That time, DeAnthony Thomas pulled away from him for the 1st.
Jet fake. Darren keeps it. Fires in zone. Caught. Touchdown. 2-A again. Tuane with 2 touchdown catches. Russell Wilson says, well, it'll be our turn now.
That time, Darren Thomas rolling to the short side. Did a really good job examining the field to the play side and then coming all the way to the backside to find Tuane, who was pulling away from a defender.
42-38, Oregon. We welcome you back to the 98th Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. The Ducks strike after Russell Wilson's interception. Alonzo picks off the pass. Tuane with the touchdown grab. And now the Badgers to get it back. Abradaris awaits at the 12. Abradaris down at the 33-yard line, and that's where Russell Wilson will put it in play.
Darren Thomas worked the field to the play side. He's starting to sense and feel that he's got Tuane way to the backside, but he gives it time to develop and then eventually just waits for him to clear, get into the opening, pulls away from Cromartie, and eventually fires it in there for a strike and a touchdown. And let's not forget the 3rd and 8 that DeAnthony Thomas was able to pull away and be able to get away from southward to pick up the first down to keep that drive alive.
Play action on first down. Can't find a receiver. Wilson will throw it away.
Russell Wilson, coaches from Wisconsin would tell you, in their 2 losses, the Michigan State and Ohio State, when they trailed, he's played some of his best football. He has, again, that calming effect on his team that when they were down 31-17 against Michigan State, he brought him back to 31-31 before that Hail Mary. And a week later in Columbus, they were down big, and he fought back. It looked like they had a potential game-winning drive there, only to have Braxton Miller steal it away. So he plays very well under pressure late in the games.
Ball for a loss, hit by Michael Clay. Clay, the junior from San Jose.
Well, he is a sure tackler. You're not going to see Michael Clay just come in kamikaze style and bounce off Amani Ball. He seems to wrap up every time he gets a chance. He brings his hands and his arms, and he's able to wrap up. This time, he shoots a gap, takes a bit of a risk, and it pays off for the Oregon defense on 2nd and long.
3rd and 14. Underneath to Ball. No first down. Badgers forced to punt.
First time I think I can remember anyway, Brent, maybe you can correct me, that I've seen this Oregon defense play with some fire, where these guys are flying to the football as an entire defense. And I don't know if they're sensing the importance of this drive or if the crowds had an impact on them, but the freshman, Troy Hill, who's out here, has to be able to make a play against Monty Ball, and he's the first defender there until 5 other Ducks fly in to help out.
LaMichael James awaits the Brad Nortman punt. It's a beauty. LaMichael thrown down at the 10-yard line. Oregon with an interception, and now a 3-and-out. 80 points, 918 yards of offense. The biggest lead, 7 points. And the Ducks hope to go past that now, up by 4, and the football back on the 10. And LaMichael for 4 yards before he's brought down by Borland.
Ducks have had just so many big plays, and Wisconsin's defense trying to keep them deep in this territory.
They fake the screen and come downfield. 2-A again, midfield. They set 3 receivers to the right and faked the screen, and 2-A went downfield.
Well, this is a bread and butter play. If you're an Oregon Ducks fan, you've seen this a lot, where they just show that kind of a decoy, where they show that screen and then get it downfield to a receiver. This time it's 2-A, who was the inside receiver. Nobody picked him up because they were so concerned about that quick throw to the outside.
That's 150 yards for 2-A after that 41-yarder. Now the first down at the 45-yard line. Coming back with a run play, and he picks up 6, LaMichael James.
Remember the game you and I called last year in the national championship against Auburn? 2-A had a pretty good game. You expected a lot from Jeff Mail, but 2-A ends up having a pretty good day catching the football when Darren Thomas had to throw against Auburn because they couldn't run the ball.
Second down with Barner. Darren Thomas looking downfield. Incomplete. Huff, the intended receiver.
Well, Huff was there, and again, Darren Thomas made pretty good decisions for the most part. We've talked about how he's been a little bit errant on some of his throws, but this time he buys enough time there and finds Huff, who's able to pull away from the defender. He's just got to be able to squeeze that.
Scott Frost, the wide receiver coach in the background, one-time Nebraska quarterback. Done a great job with these receivers through the years. There's the handoff to Barner. Barner got the first down. And we see that Tony Dungy's son, Eric Dungy, had been out on the field as they've got the first down. A hard-working youngster who doesn't get to see a lot of playing time. He was out for that play. There is the young man, Tony Dungy's son. First down from the 34, and LaMichael. At the line of scrimmage is brought down. Let me check that. That's Barner.
That time, Desmond Southward came up. You know, he played 1 year high school football at St. Thomas, down in another player from St. Thomas. But just a tremendous athlete. They've asked him to play a lot tonight just to get more speed on the field, and that time he lowered the boom there on Barner.
Second down and 10. Play action. Down the sideline, complete. DeAnthony Thomas at the 7-yard line. There is a penalty flag, however.
Holding. Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
That's Darian Weems back on the field. He's lost his guard, Carson York. Weems was out for a time.
He's isolated one-on-one against Tyler Dipple and just locks him up around the neck. I mean, that is an easy call right in front of the referee, and a no-no by Weems. Weems has sat out a series or two, and they put Ryan Clanton in there, but I would assume with York out, just for continuity purposes and communication, they'd rather have the veteran Weems back in the lineup. But that time, makes a big mistake.
Greg, and there's movement down in there by the guard. So there's the young man who replaced Carson York, and that's a false start.
5-yard penalty. Second down.
Greg, and it'll be brought back 5 yards. So this series is suddenly going in reverse.
Greg just moves. Lack of mental awareness there. Back-to-back plays. The Ducks have gone in the wrong direction.
Second and 25, and they come back attacking with the running play, and Barner still on the field.
Now that play right there gives Darren Thomas a chance here. With the way this game has gone and with the concerns they've had over the year with their field goal kicking, you wonder if this is still, depending on where they get, potentially 4-down territory for Chip Kelly.
Darren going to throw it. Coming in underneath and try to pick it up with DeAnthony Thomas, who's down at the 30-yard line. And now this will bring up the 4th down. Mike Taylor makes the stop, and here comes the decision.
A 47-yard field goal from there.
You're going to go.
Gonna go.
Got what he wants. 4th down. Darren Thomas throws in underneath, and they've got the first down. 2-A comes back and makes still another catch.
They brought pressure up the middle. Oregon picks it up and gives Darren Thomas just enough time this time to be able to make the throw on 4th down, and 2-A again comes up big for this Ducks offense.
2-A now with 158 yards on his 8 catches. LaMichael James checks back into the backfield, and he'll get this carry. And he is stopped as he came across the 20-yard line.
But it's not just that Chip Kelly goes for it on 4th down. It's that his offense knows that if we don't make it, get lined up and go fast. I was impressed that Wisconsin was actually lined up and got their call in and got to try to get the pressure on Darren Thomas.
Now Barner back in. His turn up the middle. And this becomes 3rd and manageable. And you know now he's certainly in 4-down territory down here, up by 4.
Ducks have had this drive now going on 11 plays, 74 yards, over 5 minutes.
And they've come to another 4th down. The young man who scored a touchdown, Nzegwu, with that defensive stop for the Badgers. Looking for the play call for the sideline. The team still checking over there.
Chip's going to let the play clock go down here. Get the timeout and maybe bring out the kicker, try to get it to be a 7-point game.
And here comes that kicking team.
We watched Maldonado in practice. I mean, he was making them 45 yards. That's practice.
Game pressure is different than practice. And we've still got a little time left here. 6:55. Maldonado on. His holder is Jackson Rice. Jackson Rice, a very good quarterback as a holder. He's the young man who signals whether they're going to go for 2 or 1 on the extra point. This would be a 30-yarder. And it would put the Ducks up by 7. Got it.
That's big for Maldonado. Big. Always heard about it from the time he missed the USC field goal as Oregon can't kick, and that time he steps up big with the Rose Bowl on the line. This drive was started way back deep in their own territory where Wisconsin bit on that quick throw to the outside, bit up on it, opened it up for a big throw to 2-A downfield. And let's not forget that 4th down. Wisconsin brings pressure. He senses it, feels it, makes it just a little step off to the right there to buy a little time, makes the throw again over to 2-A for that 1st down to keep that drive alive and keep moving him closer and closer for a potential field goal.
You know, it's interesting, Chip Kelly. Sound football is to kick the field goal, make it 7. That's Vince Lombardi would have done that. But you know what he was thinking in the back of his mind? I just made the last 4th down.
It's killing me.
Why couldn't I got to go again? You know, and he kept thinking about it. He talked to the official, talked to the timeout. Let's get the kicking team out.
You know, he ended up going for it on 4th down coming into tonight 30 times on the year. I mean, it's kind of in his MO to go for it on 4th.
What a great scene now as night descends on Southern California and Farmers Insurance, bringing you this aerial coverage of the Rose Bowl. Coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. Farmers Insurance. We've had a dandy at the granddaddy. 6:50 still to go. 45-38. Rudd Bielema and the Badgers about to get it back. Already, the Big Ten, I believe it was their lone win. They went triple overtime as Michigan State defeated Georgia. And now here are the Badgers going toe-to-toe with the best of the Pac-12. Abderus. 20 comes wide right. The 30-yard line.
Let's take a look at today's good hands play of the game, brought to you by Allstate. And we saw Kiko Alonso make this play, which was big in getting the ball back to the Ducks. But how about the athletic ability? Third down, he gives Pedersen a cushion and then lays out in front of him, jumps the route, and comes up with a big turnover to give the ball back to the Ducks. Pretty good game for Kiko Alonso.
A wonderful game, especially that big interception. Monty Ball with 161 yards, in as the running back. And he's thrown back. He's going to give a yard or two back on that tackle by Clay.
We've talked a lot about Alonso, but Michael Clay, who is really the glue of this defense, taking over for Casey Matthews with the leadership that comes off of the potential block by Jacob Pedersen, fights through that, and still makes a play on one of the more physical running backs that he's faced all year. Tremendous effort that time by Oregon's defense.
2nd and 11. From the gun. And Toon makes the catch at the 33-yard line. 3rd down and a record-setting day here in Pasadena. The longest run from scrimmage, and now a couple of Rose Bowl overall scoring records. 83 total points, and that breaks the previous record set in '91 between Washington and Iowa. They had a record-scoring first half. Monty Ball has tied Barry Sanders with the single-season touchdown record with 39. He dearly would love to get number 40 here and bring the Badgers back into a tie. On this 3rd and 6, Wilson in trouble, gets it off. Toon reaches and got the first down.
Wow, that was a great play by Russell Wilson to buy just enough time. Here's our view from the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Good job of looking off to the left, and as a last resort, Brent, he finds Nick Toon. I mean, he was clearly going to his left. Look at his eyes. He comes all the way back to the right, almost as a check down, and finds Nick Toon. And how about the effort by Toon to extend the ball and get that first down?
Here comes Ball into the middle. You can see Big Oglesby reaching down for a leg. He's 300-pound offensive lineman of the Badgers now.
Monty Ball looked like he was limping a bit coming back to the huddle.
Stays on the field. 2nd down and 6. Play action. Got a man open. Abderus, 30. Fumble. The Ducks pounce on it. Abderus lost the ball on that sideline if he wasn't already down. Down around the 30-yard line. Let's take a big look at this.
He knocks the football loose. The ball somehow stays in bounds. It never comes close to going to the boundary. Ball's out.
Great play by Mitchell to knock it free.
It looks like Chip Kelly jumping up there. I thought he was going to try to recover it.
Michael Clay got over there in the middle of it, and he comes up with the football. Now watch from behind. The ball is free. Now watch
There's
Clay
right
go
there.
diving.
Clay got it. Mitchell knocks it away after he was beaten badly by Aberderis to get open, but good job of knocking the ball loose. How about the ball? The momentum is going towards it's going to go out of bounds, and it just sits there like your wedge. It just pulled right back.
You said it earlier to me during commercial. You said this game's going to revolve around a turnover
One mistake
late. And you know what?
There it is.
This could be it.
Could be it.
The only thing is, folks, remember this. Ball control is not a duck strength.
That last drive they had took forever. It was 5 minutes. I mean, that's it.
That might be their longest of the season.
Exactly. But boy, Aberderis made a great move on Mitchell.
Had a big first down.
Wide open, a big first down, deep in Oregon's territory.
Ruling on the field stands. First down, Oregon.
Oregon brought pressure, and Aberderis took advantage of the one-on-one matchup, but give Mitchell credit for knocking that football loose.
Yeah, I want to say something about this officiating crew from the ACC. Brad Allen's our referee, and up here in the booth with us, Tom Zamorsky, and we've got the replay booth. These guys have done a real good job here today. First down and 10. Inside to LaMichael James, and James is to the 33-yard line, and now Chip Kelly will try to chip away at that clock.
This is the route before where he was able to look how he turns Mitchell around completely. Just a great job. He's wide open, well executed. He just doesn't hold on to the football. This is Oregon's version now of working the clock. They still go to the hurry up, but now they just sit there and look over to Chip Kelly and let the play clock work down. If you're Wisconsin, it's a one-possession game now. The Rose Bowl championship's on the line. If they give up any points at all, this game's over. They've got to attack this Oregon offense. And now we look back at that timeout that Brett Bielema used. And, of course, now they're only left with one here late in the game.
That ball came free, but he was down. He recovered it. Johnson was trying to get on it. So now 3 minutes coming up. Oregon up by 7 with a third down at 1.
He gets them lined up, and Wisconsin's so used to the hurry-up mode, and now the play clock works its way down inside 5 seconds, which is where Darren Thomas eventually is going to snap this.
And he battles for the first down. Now down to 2.5. So, what is that, Herbie? 95 years?
Yeah,
I did not do that game.
You did not. You did not.
So there is the team back in 1917. That's the uniforms have come a long ways, haven't they, folks? First down and 10. Looking over to the sidelines.
Work that clock. Wisconsin has got to stop them. Use their last timeout.
Timeout. Wisconsin. That's their third and final charge timeout of the half.
Well, we've been seeing some great views of the game, courtesy of the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. And let us thank our director, Derek Mobley, our producer, Bill Bunnell, associate director, Bonnie Riley, technical director, John Zippy, the East Raider, Bob Salmi, Paul Krugman, and all of our gang, including associate producer, Brian Boyle. So thanks to everybody on the crew for the job that they have done with this Rose Bowl, and they'll pack up their gear and they'll head down to one of the busiest sports weeks ever in New Orleans. The Saints with a home game on Saturday night against the Detroit Lions. Get on down there. We'll go on there and watch a few of those rascals play. And then Monday night, it's LSU and Alabama for the national championship. Killing the clock now.
Third down. Obviously, clock out of timeouts, clock moving.
Here comes a Michael, and he's not going to get it. Stays in bounds, goes down. Ezekwu scored a touchdown, defensive touchdown for the Badgers. Making the play over there. This is where not having a timeout really hurts as you watch those seconds start to tick off that clock right now.
And you're looking at
they're going to bring off
15, 20 seconds,
no
depending
question.
on the return.
No question. He's coming down to a certain point. Got it down to 23 seconds.
Yeah, and like I said, if you include the potential punt and the return, unless they get a fair catch called, it's going to be 15 to 18 seconds.
And they would have been able to stop it up around 55, somewhere in there.
Right.
The Badgers had a timeout in their pocket. We want to take you back because this was the moment in time that Herbie and I have talked about. Now, this is where DeAnthony hesitated. The fans and the coaches thought maybe he should have been ruled out, but the entire football is not out of the end zone. So that line judge watching there made the good call, and then Brett burns a timeout to try and talk to them.
And the crowd saw the replay on the jumbo screen and saw his foot touch the line and reacted. And Brett Bielema ended up calling a timeout.
So here's Aberderis. Makes a fair catch at the 12. And look who's down on top of him. DeAnthony Thomas, who had been practicing all week as one of the gunners. And they send him in at this time to make sure that Aberderis does not get a return. How about this freshman here tonight? One of the gunners after 2 long touchdowns, including a record setter, 91 yards, the longest run from scrimmage, and there he was all over Aberderis. Wow, what a night for the freshman.
He had a big smile on his face coming down on that punt coverage team. Hometown, back home, high school here, of course, in Los Angeles.
16 seconds for Russell Wilson. Pump coming long, got Aberderis open, got to get out of bounds. 9 seconds. And the problem here, of course, is they need a touchdown. They've got to go the distance. Field goal won't help them.
Well, he picks up some big yards, picks up the first down, which would have stopped the clock. But then Aberderis gets out of bounds. If you're Oregon, you don't want to get cute here. Any chance you have to keep Wisconsin in bounds, you want to.
Aliotti sets his safeties back on his own 25, nearly 20-yard line right now. In a prevent, Wilson. He's got Toon and down in the field. So Toon is upended and it'll stop briefly. There's no time to really spike it with 2 seconds, is there? And Toon is shaken up onto play. He's going to stay on the field. This looks like the last snap of the ball game.
He's going to try to spike it here.
And he did. But the clock time ran out, didn't it?
Let's see what.
Now, wait a minute. They say put a second back, I think. Hang on here.
How about Russell Wilson in Wisconsin just moving the ball right down? I mean, I understand playing prevent by Oregon, but they didn't do anything to hold back the Wisconsin receivers and try to reroute them. I mean, they just walked downfield.
Watch this with the clock now. I'm not sure that he got it off. I think it's going to be really close. Listen, 2 seconds is a big gamble to attempt a spike.
I assumed he was going to spike it because of the alignment of the wide receivers. I mean, that doesn't look like an alignment for a last play.
The Ducks think the game is over. They're still over there on the sideline.
Brent, they may have. Did they start the clock before the ball was snapped?
Let's take another look at this as to when it started. Watch the official's arm. Wind it. He doesn't get it off.
No, he sure doesn't.
According to that, he doesn't get it off. You saw the referee wind the clock.
The clock responded to the officials in the appropriate manner.
After further review, prior to the spiking of the pass, the clock went to 0. The game is over.
The Oregon Ducks win the 98th Rose Bowl. Chip Kelly finally captures a BCS victory. And another Pasadena heartbreak for the Badgers. The trophy will go north to Eugene, Oregon. A team that may have given LSU its best game of the year. And that was back in the opener. And then they were scratching and clawing to get back in that BCS battle. And what a hug for Alonso, who played a great game after I told you he'd been in the coach's doghouse earlier this year.
Very special moment, Brent, for Kiki Alonso. Player that was in the doghouse, but also Chip Kelly went to bat for him, continued to believe in, and he ends up having an outstanding game here in the biggest game of the year for the Oregon team.
No question.
What a crazy game that had about everything you can imagine. How about Russell Wilson giving the Badgers potentially a chance? They went right down the field, bang, 2 plays.
Who knows? One more second.
Never know.
And now you look back on that timeout, that lost timeout.
Not only that, think of the Wisconsin season and their losses. Think of their last 4 losses. The 3 this year. The game last year against TCU came down to a 2-point conversion. Tank Carter knocks that ball down against Scott Tolzien. Badgers have been so close in so many big games.
Just 2 passes away from a undisputed Big Ten championship. And probably a trip to the national championship game, although who knows under that circumstance what would have happened in the conference championship game. But you've got to feel very happy for these Ducks. They battled Auburn all the way last year down in the desert for a national championship. The year before that, they lost to Ohio State here in Pasadena. Darren Thomas starting to mature as a quarterback. So we had to take a little bit of a break here, but come on back for the award ceremony. The Oregon Ducks are the Rose Bowl champions.
Mama, what's up? Welcome to the Ford BCS postgame show.
So the Gatorade bath, the tradition, and Chip Kelly tried to run away from it. Not now, guys, not now. We've got to get the trophy. I want to congratulate Coach Bielman on his great year. So let's go back down now. And Herbie, take us through this last drive.
It's definitely worth going back and kind of catching our breath to remember Aberderis has that fair catch. They're way back inside their own 15-yard line. The first pass only takes about 5 or 6 seconds up. And then this is the big play, a little pump fake. He gets his man tuned downfield. 2 seconds left. They try to get up to the line of scrimmage. You can see the referee right there starts to move his arm. The operator here starts to move the clock. Peter Kahns and Russell Wilson, 2 of the best players, most experienced players, a little bit late in getting the snap up, and they just don't quite have enough time to get one more shot at the end zone. And Brett Bielema's thinking, my gosh, can I catch a break? And the big one here, the granddaddy of them all.
So let's go down to Chris Fowler now for the trophy presentation. Chris.
Brent, thank you. We've all seen something very special, folks. Not many of the 98 Rose Bowls have been as entertaining as this. Time now for the trophy presentation. We first recognize Mr. William Wang, the founder and the CEO of Vizio, and now Rick Jackson, the 2012 Tournament of Roses president, present the trophy. Rick?
On behalf of the Tournament of Roses, I'm pleased to present to you, Coach Kelly, the Rose Bowl Games Champions Trophy. Congratulations.
Folks, I don't know how many of you were here for the 1917 Rose Bowl, but that was the last time and the only time the Oregon Ducks have won this game. Chip, what does this victory represent for the program?
You know, for all of our fans out there, it's been 95 years since you could say Oregon Ducks, Rose Bowl champions. And it's about this group right here.
You guys had to fight for 4 quarters, just as you have in a couple of big stages in recent years. What to you made the difference down the stretch?
I think these kids just believe, they have a faith in each other, that it's always going to work out for them, and it's based on their preparation. They buy into everything. Our coaching staff and our players get along so well. There's a great chemistry between all of us because we love and respect each other.
We'll talk to the 2 MVPs. One of them, the defensive MVP, Kiko Alonso, a guy who's had an interesting journey. You had to overcome a lot, his own mistakes and some bad luck. What does this represent to you as his coach the night he had this today?
Yeah, I get welled up about that, but I love Kiko, and I told him it wasn't about his interception, but what he's done and how he's come back is what this deal's all about. He's an outstanding young man. I love the kid.
Chip, congratulations. Let's speak now to the defensive player of the game. You're back here in your home state. We talked about your journey here, which has been, you know, some bad luck's been part of it. Your mistakes have been part of it. What does this represent to persevere and have this game?
Man, it feels great. It's been a long run. We've been doing this since January, and we knew that we had to go all the way, all 4 quarters, and it feels great.
Your interception set up the game-winning points. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Let's bring in Lavassier Tuine. A couple of touchdowns. Your final game as an Oregon Duck. What does this represent to you?
Man, it's a great feeling. I mean, we worked hard to get to this point, and when we had the opportunity to, you know, come out like this, everyone stepped up and we won.
Congratulations to the Ducks. Brent, back to you.
All right, and up next on ESPN, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Along with Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews and our entire crew, I'm Brent Musburger. We congratulate our 2012 Rose Bowl champions, the Oregon Ducks. Lavassier Tuine, and Tuine with 8 catches for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. Darren Thomas pulled the trigger, 17-23, 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the electric DeAnthony Thomas, 2 rushes, 155 yards and 2 TDs. Now let's go to Glendale, Arizona. Stanford and Oklahoma State are next, everybody. So long.